This version of It's Eric Nagel has been modified from its original broadcast. Content has been edited to fit this platform.
Believe none of what you hear and half of what you see.
Are you ready? I said, are you
ready? It's Eric Nagel. And it starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the universe, the next voice you hear, it's Eric Nagel.
And thank you, Scott Shannon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the program. I am Eric Nagel. Of course, I am still having something that's switched around here that I have to remove cables and put other cables and other cables and all that other fun stuff. But anyway, say hello to Jordan.
Oh, my setup's working okay. Well, now I'm unmuted now. Hi, everybody. Jesus. Start over.
Let's see. Should we start over? Is this working?
Yeah.
Okay, it's working.
That's working.
Finally. All right. Welcome to the program. If you're on the, let's get all the nonsense out of the way. If you're on the iHeartRadio app, do us a kindness, put us in the #1 position on said app. If you're on Apple, Spotify, any of those places, go over there. Do us a kindness. Leave us a positive review. It does help out the program. You can join us live each and every week as we do this show in our live rooms on Twitch and on YouTube. So go over there, give a like, give a follow, give a subscribe. If you're in here right now as we're doing it, hit the like button. I know we haven't even started, but we may surprise you. Hit the like. Let's just gamble. Hit the like and we'll see if the rest of the show is worth that like for you. And if you can't do that, the YouTube channel's there for whenever you want. But on the YouTube channel, you can get memberships. You get our past archives for this show. You get the archives for Would You Kindly, bonus material. New bonus material is up.
Yes, it is.
Went up this week. Todd Pettengill, part 4, is up there with our pal David Brody. You know him from the Elvis Duran Show, but more importantly, the Brooklyn Boys podcast. Our pal Christian Blatt, formerly of the Dennis Miller Show, does his own thing and does WAT. Who are these broadcasters over on Carl's channel? And Carl came from WATP. He also sat in as we reviewed. They weren't phone scams. They weren't parody songs. They were a serious recorded effort of him attempting to be a musician.
It was wonderful. I've never seen anything better.
So part 4 is up there for the members. It will go out to the freebies on Friday at 2 p.m. So if you're listening to this on iHeart on Friday morning, Friday during the day, whatever you're doing, 2 p.m. today, you can go over to the YouTube channel and it should be available for you to check out. I did like when we posted that the bonus material was up. One of the first people to like it was Scott Shannon.
I loved it. He's going to be in part 6 or 7. Yeah. I don't know. Let's try to get him on. I mean, because at this point, we're doing so many parts. It's like a Ken Burns documentary. Right.
Did not expect to go that far into Todd, but lo and behold,
not many people want to be that far into Todd.
I have people pushing for a part 5. They don't think, because look, there was 28 tracks.
Look, your own co-hosts of the shows were pushing for a part 5 before we ended part 4.
Yeah, that is true. So we might have to do a part 5 because the music was just terrible. Intersect in the chat got a subscriber and a member to this channel here. He watched it saying, God damn, those Todd songs sure were the mildly flavored sparkling beverage equivalent of music. Even that, I think, is giving him too much credit for the music he put out. So, our pal Jung's in the chat saying, I'm waiting for you to cover him hosting the Slammies. Well, let me tell you, my pal, we did. It starts off with Slammies 96 and 97 and then goes straight into his original works. So go and get a membership if you haven't, or if you guys
throw down $5
now. Yeah, it's not that bad.
Cheap.
Help your brothers out here if you could. Testify. A lot to get to today. We have a guest coming on the show in just a few moments. Our old pal, Justin Stangel. I think this is the first time he's coming on the show since we left SiriusXM.
Nice.
Yeah, because I've asked him for years, and he's always found a reason as to why he couldn't. So he's
washing his hair.
Yes, that's exactly it. That old colloquialism that it's just been taking that long. He finally got it done, and he's joining us in a little bit tonight. So we got to plow through some of the announcements, the headline stuff, talk to him, and then we have a lot of stuff to get to today. I got new footage of they just released it, I think 2 days ago. new footage of the Artemis takeoff where the cameras were strapped to the boosters.
Nice.
That we haven't seen, so we're going to check that out. We've got the government footage of the capsule being opened. They finally released that, so we could check that out. And then, the touchdown, which the splashdown, as they call it, also fantastic. We got some Coachella stuff for you. We're not talking about any of the music. It's the people who make that event what it is and why it's loathsome, and also why nobody really talked about it this year leading up to. Well, they talked about it when two things happened. People tried to say that Sabrina Carpenter made a racial remark and an insensitive cultural remark, which she didn't. And then Justin Bieber, it's a 50-50 mix of whether you thought it was a genius move that he just sat there with a laptop, which I'm kind of thinking was a genius move, and other people saying that for the 10, 11 million that he got, he put in no effort.
Here, and this will be a teaser. I'm on the side of it's a genius move, and I don't like Justin Bieber because I learned about why he did what he did, and it's going to be fun to talk about.
Because he sold his catalog and because he owed a lot of money.
That's a teaser, Eric. Come on, man.
We're blowing it all right now. Get it all done.
Let's get people to stay on to segment 2.
We got Coachella stuff to talk about. We got a little bit of WrestleMania stuff to bring up. Danhausen had a week, and it is continuing as he's leading into WWE. So we'll talk about that. I almost punched a deaf guy at Costco.
Why are you punching me, Eric?
Yeah, well, no, he didn't do that, but I will say this: had I punched him, he deserved it. There were other people around saying, "Yeah, that guy would have deserved being punched in the face for what he was doing." Jordan had yet another fallout at McDonald's. Stop going to McDonald's.
This is it for me. I'm done.
I had a massive disaster. You know how we have all that stuff built up for this week in disasters? We're going to give you a mini version. We'll save the other stuff for next week, but we'll give you a mini version because 2 disasters happened not far from where I live, and they made national headlines. So we got all of that stuff. FIFA is a fucking problem in my area of the country here for everything that they're refusing to do and forcing state, local, and federal government officials to do around here. Like I said, so much to get to. And we're almost at 6,600 on the YouTube for subscribing. Thank you all for participating, being here, being part of the show. I also want to point this out. This is one of those rare weeks where Jordan and I didn't really talk to each other.
Yeah, week. There was some teasers of the deaf guy punching, and then I was around to talk, and then you missed the chat, and then by the time you got to it, I was already asleep, which is rare because I don't sleep that often. And then, we usually kind of hook up on a Wednesday, but I went to a concert last night. So we just weren't around.
It's a weekly event for you now.
This is from now until the end of the year. Yeah, probably. So it's, it was one of those things because next Friday I'm going to another concert.
Of course.
And then next Wednesday after that. And then in May, I've got.
For the last few years, how I told you I refuse to go to concerts. I hate Live Nation. I don't want to do anything involving all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And you've seemed to have tripled down in the last year.
Yeah, I'm covering your spread here.
Yeah, I don't need you. They don't need our support. In fact, I'm really happy with the we'll get into that in segment 2 with the recent lawsuit rulings against them and what it could lead to in the future. But stop going to concerts. If I know you have kids, and once in a while you have to break down and do it. I understand that. But I'm leading by example, right? I am not going to Miku. I told you I wanted to go to Miku. I bought the wrong ticket for Miku. And then when I went to buy the correct tickets, it was they were either sold out or way too much. So I will not get into that.
Yeah, I did look at those tickets, and they jumped up to 140 each when it was 70 originally, and I'm I'm good. I've got enough going on.
I gotta ask Justin about Miku having its United States debut on Letterman.
Yeah,
it was not anything that should have happened to get if this was something that happened now, if it happened on Jimmy Fallon, makes sense because Fallon's show is just about videos and what's trending and what's new, so they would book all of that. It would make sense if that had a debut on Fallon, K-pop Demon Hunter. They had their debut in the United States on Fallon. Makes sense. This is not in Letterman's wheelhouse. This was not in Letterman's audience's wheelhouse. I'm thinking that last year to 2 years was kind of like when Conan found out that he was losing to the Tonight Show while he was on it, that he just decided to blow millions of dollars of the budget and not care what the network thought.
Yeah, one of my favorite bits is where he wasn't he like playing guitar for like the Rolling Stones or like the Beatles, like on one of his last shows because he knew NBC
and it was like almost a $500,000 royalty that they had to pay. It was a in radio it'd be a rejoiner, but I think it was just a song they played coming out of break.
Yeah.
And Conan announced that it was a Beatles song and then showed the price tag of what it was because they had to spend that budget.
Yeah.
So, we'll ask Justin about Miku. I have a whole bunch of stuff to ask Justin. He's here now, actually. Let's bring him on here. Our old pal, Mr. Justin Stangel. TV's Justin Stangel, everybody. Hello.
What's up,
how are
guys?
you, sir?
How are you? Good to see you.
I don't think your mic's hooked up.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's coming through your webcam.
Oh, son of a bitch.
I mean, we've been waiting there for 30 minutes. You couldn't do any prep whatsoever.
Son of a bitch.
What are you, a regular on the show now?
All right.
Nothing works on a Thursday, buddy. Don't worry about it.
Should we give you a moment? Now you have no audio.
Now it's like Eric touching his mic. It's all right. I'm just going to stare at the Han Solo blaster in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah. That better?
That's better. Crank it up. You're on the right microphone. Just crank up the volume and you'll be good.
How's that?
That's perfect.
Oh, that's great.
There we go.
All right, so let's pretend none of that happened. Hi.
Hey. How are you? Look, Jordan, look at all the stuff you could steal from his house.
I know. I'm looking at what I'm assuming is the Lego typewriter. I'm looking at the I'm already looking at it on Wall-E.
I got Iron Man arc reactor. I stole this bowling pin from a bowling alley in high school, so that was like 1986, and I've had it on my shelf ever since. Stormtrooper, Han Solo blaster, Han Solo Empire Strikes Back, Galactica, Star Trek. I don't know what that is.
You give me the idol, I'll give you the whip.
Dude, you want to see it? Here.
It's right down there.
I got the cup of
you chose correctly.
I did.
That's why he got to live, and all those other TV producers, they perished.
You like how we instantly went to all the nerdy fun stuff and completely ignored the fact that he's just kind of displaying a couple Emmys on his shelf over there?
Well, they're the least impressive thing
those are the least
in that
room.
Things.
Yeah.
I mean, even the bowling pin seems to has a better story
I know.
than the Emmys.
Yeah. Can you move those aside? I got to see what the other stuff is.
Does that say Brunswick? That's fantastic.
It is. Thank you. I'm very proud of it. Actually, my father was an obstetrician gynecologist who specialized in infertility. So
don't tell me he pulled that out of somebody.
Close.
Okay.
In the go-go 80s, I sort of was like in his office one day, and he had like all of his plaques and everything behind him. And I just put that down behind his desk just to see if he would notice. And like 6 months later, my dad came home and he said, "Did you leave a bowling pin on my desk?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" I'm like, "It took you 6 months to notice it." He's like, "One of my patients who I was giving like awful news to in the middle of it was just like, 'Do you bowl, Dr. Stangel?' And he's like, 'No, why?' Like, well, why do you have a bowling pin on your desk?" So yeah, I made a difficult day even worse.
Well, you could have made it. You could have doubled or tripled down on it by doing like what Jackass did: get an X-ray with the bowling pin in there and hang that up in his office where people would see it, but he didn't notice it.
You're a genius. I should have done that. Where the hell were you in 1986?
Let's see. I was watching He-Man, and I was, elementary school. I was youngin' at that point.
You were 7?
Old.
Justin, we got a lot to talk to you about, but first off, how have you been, sir? It's been a while since you and I have talked like this. We text back and forth with each other, but to being on the same kind of platform program, something like that, it's been a while. How have you been? What have you been up to?
I've been trying to navigate the television industry while it implodes and
good luck
and merges. Yeah, man, it is crazy out there. Pretty much from the strike, like 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, on the business has been insane. Mm-hmm. And right before the strike, we sold a show, and with Bill Prady, who created Big Bang Theory, and it was going to be on like TBS, and then the next day on HBO Max, and it was like all this stuff, and then Warner Brothers had to cut $3 billion when Zaslav joined, and all of a sudden it just went away. Like TBS just stopped making TV shows. And so that was rough. That was rough because we really liked that one, and Bill Prady really liked it, and it was something we really believed in, and we only recently got the rights back to it. So I think we're going to try to salvage it, but it just sat, like they paid us for it, and then it just sat on a shelf for years. It was heartbreaking, and that happened to us like 2 or 3 times. We sold an animated show with Lisa Kudrow, who was going to produce it and voice it, and it was we sold it and built into like the contract. There are different steps, so it's like, we'll pay you for the idea, boom, and then you write the summary, like a 2-page outline, pretty much. When that's approved, you get paid. Then you write the first draft. When that's approved, you get paid. And then there's like a final draft. And then if that's approved, you make the first episode, the pilot. And it was way too easy. It was like, oh, we love it. We're going to pay for the idea. We only really have like one word change. So we're going to pay you for 2 drafts. Is that all right? We're like, yeah, sure. And they said, okay. And we were breaking for Christmas. And I was like, when we come back from Christmas, we're meeting with the animators and we're making an 8-minute test reel with your designs and this and that. And it's going to be great. We're like, great. So after Christmas, Disney bought Fox, that's where our show was, and fired everybody that liked it, and it sat on a shelf. And it's still there. We can't get the rights back. They won't let us buy it back. They wouldn't give it to us. It's just gone. And I never met Lisa Kudrow, which was sort of odd considering she was attached to this thing for a while. So yeah, it's ugly business.
When something like that, where, it has gone so far into, I mean, even though early stages, into the development stages where money is exchanged hands, whatever, and they have full rights whether you're making it or not.
Right.
Don't you think, I mean, we've heard these stories film's been around over a century now, which is weird to say, but you've heard these stories throughout time about things being sold, being optioned, whatever. Well, what happened to your thing? Well, they bought it and we never saw it again. And it's not up to you once you sell the rights to it. Don't you think it'd be interesting now with the chaotic state that entertainment's in, instead of doing reboots and sequels and all of this other stuff, what if they just did, remember Project Greenlight, right?
Yes.
Where they were like, we're going through scripts, and if we find something, we'll fund it and we'll make it. Something along those lines. Warner Brothers would be perfect for this, Paramount. We're going to open up the vault. We're going to go and see all of these properties that we bought going back to the 30s, the 40s. And let's just read through them and see if something here, we make an episode or we make a short film version of this stuff. I'd sit there and watch that. If they went through there and just randomly pulled out a folder somewhere and go, oh, we sold this bought this in 1967. Here was the concept. All right, let's figure out how to make it. And then they do a little mini series on making that completely obscure project, where he obviously had different stars penned for it or imagined for it back in the day, but do a modern version of it and see how it goes. I'd watch that.
I think the feeling is that if they did that and it's like, wow, this is really good, then they look bad. That, oh, we should have done that, in the past, or whatever we're coming up with now is not as good as this. So I think it is much easier for them.
But here's how you get around that then. So you don't do it within the last decade, right? Because some of those heads would still be there and go, we're looking back. This one was from 1981. No, anybody running those networks or those film companies in 81 is not there.
Yep.
So going back to decisions of the past is not making the current company look bad. They're doing a great enough job as it is making the current company look bad.
Yeah.
Why not go back there if you're so interested in digging up relics from the past instead of reimagining and rebooting or whatever? Let's go and find something that we never did. We bought it. It's sitting there for some reason. It's not going to cost us much because we own it.
Right.
Let's take a shot and see how it goes. I would do that. I'd dedicate a streaming channel.
Funny enough, Eric and I we have a similar idea.
Eric is brother, by the way.
Sorry, my brother Eric.
Yeah.
He's my brother, my writing partner, my producing partner. We've had an idea that's similar to that. That hopefully the next time I come back here, I have something to announce. So,
okay.
We'll see. It's just everything is like, it's hard to get excited about anything. I mean, the animated show with Lisa Kudrow was called Lyle and Caroline, and it was loosely based on my relationship with Regis Philbin, who lived down the street from me. And for all 17 years I was at Letterman, whenever he was on, I was like the writer that worked with him. Not all 17 years, but for a lot of it. Right. And he lived right down the street. And on Sundays he would call me and be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm up with my kids. They're playing with Barbies. My wife's sleeping. I'm coming over." Okay. And he'd come over and I'd give him coffee and we'd watch TV. And then he'd like go. And my kids didn't know him as being on, from television. They just knew him as the guy that would come over every once in a while.
Daddy's loud, obnoxious friend.
My kids loved him. But it meant a lot to me. That really meant a lot to me because it was tied in with, my kids, and there's a whole other story with my neighbor and like all this stuff. And Regis, I was very close with Regis. So like when that went away, it really, really hurt. So I am trying to figure out a way to resurrect various things. And so hopefully, I'll come back and be able to announce something exciting.
And I'm surprised that Disney and Fox is holding on to some of these things so tightly, because the past couple of weeks we've seen things like Firefly. Yeah. They're going to be coming back in their own certain way. And Disney gave the go ahead and said, yeah, you know what? Go ahead and do your thing. We're not going to be involved, but we're giving you the permission to go and do that. Right. That, for something, I'm not saying Lyle and Caroline was that, high profile. It hasn't been made. No one really talked about it. There's been news back, I think it's 2018 when it was being announced. But, it's surprising to see that they would hold on to things that don't have the higher profile, things like a Firefly or whatever. So that's really weird, especially since at this point, animation seems to be the way to go. You can, make things pretty cheaply now comparatively. That's true. And be able to do these kinds of things.
That's true. I think it's probably cheaper for them to resurrect Firefly, and Disney can be like, yeah, do whatever you want, because they're getting paid for it. So they don't have to do anything, but they get like a third of whatever the profits are. Me, where it's like it's an original idea, I'm sure it would be much more expensive. And the reason why all the IP is being rebooted, the feeling is they have a built-in audience, so it's a little bit less of a risk. Yeah. So that's why everything now. I pitched a show, and it was an original idea, and they were like, it's really good, let us talk about it. And then they called back like a week later, and it's like, right now we're really just focusing on reboots and original and IP that we own, and it was recommended that I look through their library of the IP that they own to see if I had a take on something that they could reboot, that an original take on it. And if I did, I wouldn't have ownership of it. They own 100% of it. Even though I'm the one who, they called us once and they wanted us to, do you have any ideas for the Pink Panther? And it's like,
yes, not Steve Martin, first of all.
No, the animated, the cartoon, just the cartoon.
Yes, also not Steve Martin.
True.
He could be the Pink Panther who has no lines. It's like in the studio where they're trying to come up with all. I mean, like they came to us. What are they? I'm trying to remember. I think that someone came to us once and asked if we had an idea for Count Chocula, and I was like, what am I?
No, I don't have an idea for Count Chocula. So yeah, it's just, and that's also the problem now with AI. Because if I pitch a TV show, and it goes, even if I get fired from it, I maintain partial ownership of it. I'll get paid for the rest of my life. That as long as it airs somewhere, I'll get something. But AI now. So if I pitch an idea of like a time traveling monkey that solves crimes, I get paid. If they're looking for like a cop show and they ask AI to come up, give us a list of 20 ideas. It's like, oh, they'll circle the ones they like. Oh, time traveling monkey solves crimes. And then I can get hired now for 2 weeks to figure out their idea. But they have ownership. I don't get any of it. So it's like a temporary job. It's getting harder and harder to get like an actual staff job or to sell an original idea. I'm sure it'll all change at some point, but that's pretty much where it is right
I don't know, because we thought at some point, all right, well, the consolidation was going to be a problem. All these companies were doing a land grab. And then it seemed the model was going to be that, all right, every television network has a movie studio equivalent under the same umbrella. So, okay, it's going to be film companies own the TV companies, which own and have their streaming platforms. So like 1, 2, 3, all in house. And then it got to the point where like eventually we're only going to have 3 companies that own everything else. And it's not stopping. It's not slowing down. The Paramount Warner Brothers merger is causing all kinds of problems.
A lot of issues.
Yeah. Whether, whatever side of that issue that you're on, there's problems all over. And the bigger problems is that they buy all these properties for billions of dollars already at a loss. The second they sign the contract, they've lost money. And there's no projections to gain their money back anytime soon. So you're going to be, they know they're going into this overspending, going to have overhead costs and be at a loss for at least 5 years.
Yep.
There's no projection of achieving anything with all this other than everybody owning it. And then what? Things get shut down. Streaming networks are like they're merging. What was it? They're merging HBO and Paramount together.
Paramount, yeah. So
that's just going to be one mess. Netflix will be the other company and Disney will be the other company. I don't know where Sony falls into that.
Yeah, I don't know where anything goes anymore.
Yeah.
I know I watch HBO Max. I enjoy HBO Max. I enjoy, it's like everything like Bill Prady does is on HBO Max or is Warner Brothers or, various things that I've been adjacent to. I like them. I would work with them. But yeah, I don't know. And Paramount, I watch all the Taylor Sheridan shows.
That's Yellowstone and stuff, right?
Yeah. Yellowstone and
that new one that the Madison to have something like that.
Yeah. And I try to watch a lot of the new Star Trek shows and I don't know.
Fan. I'm a Star Trek fan, but was not a fan of their latest effort, if I can even call it that.
No, and you know what? It's like I'm not going to fault anybody. I'm not going to jump on, the bandwagon about it. If they had an audience and those people liked it, that's fine. It wasn't for me. There was a whole episode that was like TikTok themed, and I just felt old watching it. And I don't know, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah. I got to ask you about you've been doing this thing. I don't know if it's in association with something or it's just something you guys wanted to do. Because, you guys are writers, you're producers, stuff. You're not comedians. You're not real performers. But you're going that route by you and your brother putting on these events where people who are interested in writing and film and television, whatever, bring their stuff. They pitch their thing to you. And you kind of do like a live workshop showing them how to make it presentable, to give the pitch to a TV network, to a film company, what have you, which I think is a great idea on your part. I'm wondering, is it still relevant at this point? Not what you guys are doing, but just how everything has changed. There's not the proper channels anymore. You don't have pilot season anymore. You don't have, or you barely have upfronts for any of the networks, which if you're not familiar, upfronts was where each network would put out would have a presentation, a private presentation to show advertisers and potential advertisers, here's what we have coming in the fall. Here's what we have coming next year for movies or whatever, to get advertisers on board. They barely have that. So that whole process has been dismantled, or maybe it's a relic at this point. Like it's just not how things are done. The NATPE convention, NATPE, for those who don't know, the National Association of Television Programming. What was the E part? Executives?
I don't remember. I was there one year. I was there when I was working on.
But NATPE for a long time was a big convention where people would go to sell their shows and stuff. That's gone. That filed bankruptcy, and then that closed. I think earlier this year, they had one more event, and that's gone. So these channels that you would go to pitch to an executive, you get an agent and whatever, you don't have that anymore. It's all a submission online, and hopefully the AI understands what you put out there before it goes to a human being, so you can get it in front of real eyeballs for all this stuff. How do you still do what you do and what you're showing people how to get these pitches done in a world where there's less avenues than ever to get it in front of somebody?
Well, I mean, like, even if you're pitching a IP that they own, you're still going to get on. Now it's Zoom for the most part, and you're going to pitch. So, and my brother and I pitch like every week, every other week. We are on some sort of pitch about some project that we're working on. And it's still, even though there's only like where it goes and how it goes and how many episodes and the kind of show you pitch. Like originally you could have pitched like the time traveling monkey that solves crimes, and they say, oh, I love it. And then they do a pilot and they do whatever. Now when you pitch, they, and we've kind of had to learn this the hard way. They want to know what happens in that, like, first, what happens in the first episode? Who are the characters? What happens in that season? What are the character arcs? If it's a mystery or if it's whatever, what is the solution, the resolution? What happens season 2? What happens season 3? If it's streaming, which, you know, the majority.
They want you to have that far out.
Yes.
Like, wow, that's bold.
Well, I think they want to know that you have a complete idea and you know exactly how you want it executed. As Bill Pretty pointed out, a lot of times when you are doing a show, and he's done like 1 million shows, right. Sometimes you don't know the arc of the character or where the character is going. The character kind of starts to tell you. And it you know, and we've seen that. How many times has like the secondary character in a show all of a sudden become the star of it or the focus or
Urkel? You know, yeah,
exactly, Urkel. So, but they want to know all of this stuff and sample episodes, and so you are pitching. I think, you know, with what they, you know, feared Lost was where they didn't know where it was going. They want to know before they spend the money that you know where it's going and that you have a complete idea. Is
it because of shows like that
I don't know.
Do this now, or was this just where it evolved to? Because I going back like 90s, 2000, you had your ideas, your treatments, all of that stuff, but you didn't say like, here's where I'm thinking we're at season 2 and season 3. You didn't have that far down the line. You had a pitch. You had the basic concept. Here's the idea of the characters and what were the general idea of what this would be. And then you flush it out after you sign the deal.
Exactly. I've sold shows where I haven't done like half as much work, a third of what I have to do now just to pitch. And we, right before COVID, like days before COVID, I went out to LA, and my brother and I were pitching a show, and we were pitching it with Ron Howard. Ron Howard was producing it. Ron Howard wanted to direct it. He hadn't directed a comedy since Arrested Development, and it was pretty intimidating. And now when I go into a pitch, nobody cares about me, which I totally get. I don't care about me. But, you know, you're in there with Ron Howard. So at least they're impressed in the room. And you can feel like the energy. They're like, oh, when I pitched with Harry Connick Jr., we sold 2 shows with him. he's in the room and all the women love him and all the people. So it's like you have that going for you. We're there with Ron Howard. We pitched this whole thing, and literally like we flew home the next day, and then COVID hit and everything shut down. And so this whole thing went away. Now, when you pitch, you're pitching on Zoom. So there's no energy, even if that Ron Howard or whoever the famous person is or the power, they're on a little box on the screen. It's not that energy in the room, and you're pitching and you know where the laughs are. So you don't necessarily pause, but you know it's an indication of how it's going. Mm-hmm. You get a laugh, it's like, all right, this is going fine. All right, it doesn't get a laugh, you're like, all right, the next one will hit. And you know where the next laugh is. And if it doesn't get a laugh, you're like, oh my God, we're screwed. We're totally screwed. And then your instinct is to speed up and go quicker and do stuff like that. And then you, when it's over, you realize they muted themselves so their laughter or anything that they did wouldn't throw you. Or sometimes you find out that they were not muted and you really did tank, which is not a good thing. You end up having like a deck or a video or photos to fly in, and you have to share your screen. And 9 times out of 10, you're in the middle of pitching. You have just you have 15 minutes to sell every nook and cranny of this idea, and you want their attention. And it's like, all right, and here's a reel. Oh, wait. Okay, wait. Can you see it now? Okay, wait. All right. Wait, all right, I'm sharing my screen. Eric, you try it. All right, let's do that. And it's like you're doing that, and you have now killed all momentum. So my brother and I sort of went the other route. So we have a pitch completely worked out. We have rehearsed the whole thing, and we know we're in little boxes on a Zoom thing. So we have sort of choreographed the whole thing to keep their attention. So if Eric is saying, this character, think Eric Andre. While Eric says that, I go as low rent as possible and hold up a photo to the camera of Eric
Right.
Andre. Now that gets a laugh because it's so low rent and it's so whatever. There was a pitch we had where it's so-and-so, they're not very tech savvy. They have an old school phone. And when Eric said that, I held up my old phone that was in my junk drawer, an old flip phone, and it gets a laugh. For whatever reason, because they're not expecting that. And it's just so we're writing jokes, not for our pitch. We're writing jokes just to keep people entertained and just to keep the energy going. So it's like, that's sort of the stuff that we've had to adapt and we've had to change. And when we have been asked about how to pitch, that's some of the stuff that we talk about. It's like, it's if you're alone and you're talking for 15 minutes, you're going to lose them. You're just droning on for 15 minutes. So what can you do to keep their attention? What can you do to keep this thing
memorable?
Moving?
Yeah.
And make it memorable. Exactly.
I don't know how you do that in this day and age, because my day job, I'm all remote. Everything that we do is remote. So when I do team meetings and I'm leading a team meeting, you're right. It's a glazed over look. Either you're getting no reaction and you're trying to pull energy from them to get them to react to things. And it is impossible. So I couldn't even imagine trying to sell an idea and get someone to actually buy in.
We are adding props. There was something. There was a joke at the end of our pitch. It involved an old 1970s dish that was made. It was like a Jello mold. It was a real dish, a Jello with a salad in it. It was disgusting, but it was a real dish that was served in the 1970s. And my brother, the night before we pitched that, every time would make a new one and would lift it up into the camera, and it would get a laugh, and people was like, oh, that's gross. Oh, let me see it. Oh, is that real? Oh my God, where'd you get it? So it's like my brother is literally spending the night before cooking for a pitch and making a meal no one's going to eat just to dance, just to show something shiny. You know what I mean?
I want to.
That would be annoying.
You brought that up.
You're looking it up, aren't you? You're looking it up for salad Jello.
I had it in the consumer archives here. There it is, Jello salad.
There it is.
That's it exactly. That's what my brother made and held up.
Yeah.
No, the real question is, does he throw it away, or does he just forlornly eat it after the pitch is done, thinking, okay, this is it. I'm eating my feelings.
I don't know what he did. I know at Letterman, whenever we used something that was food, we never let it go to waste. So it went somewhere or somebody ate it. So I fear my brother ate the salad embedded in Jello.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Gross.
It's got to go somewhere.
It does have to go.
I didn't look at the chat here. I see these things going crazy. All right, what's the, our pal Intersect saying, has the Stangels ever written comics? I don't know if they've written comics, but they have written for a TV show that is very beloved to myself, the first animated version of The Tick in the 90s.
Oh, I love The Tick.
You wrote for a couple of those episodes.
3 of the episodes we have credit on, and it was like our first gig ever. And we used to do like a live comedy show. We had a writing staff and we had a group of actors, and it was like Saturday Night Live. We'd have a writers meeting once a week. When we had enough sketches, then we went to the actors and we'd put it up for like 2 or 3 months, and then we'd shut down and start all over again. And a lot of the writers started to get work. They're all working now. They're all like real, like they went to The Daily Show, Saturday Night Live, Letterman, Family Guy. They're at Family Guy. The actors are all working. And the head writers of The Tick came, and they asked us to come in for a meeting, and we're like, holy shit, man. This is like,
you met with Ben Edlund.
Ben Edlund, yes. Who was like, I was intimidated meeting him. He was like a really cool guy. I'm sure he still is. I just haven't talked to him. And we go in, and now we were like very young and didn't know what we were doing. So we go in for the meeting, and they're like, all right, what do you got? Now I thought a meeting was just, they wanted to meet us and kind of see if we hit it off, but they wanted us to pitch ideas for The Tick, and we didn't have any. And so we sort of paused, and I said, The Tick participates in a superhero exchange program. And there was like a long pause, and they went, ooh. And I thought, wow, that's not a good noise. And we left thinking we blew the meeting. And when we got home, they called us and they said they want to write it. They want to buy the idea from us and they want to write it. And we're like, sure, go ahead. And then we were in the writer's room, and we were responsible, I think, for 3 scripts where we pitched them and wrote them, and somebody rewrote them. I don't know if it was Ben. We had one. There was a bad guy called the Evil Midnight Bomber who bombs at midnight.
Yeah. You came up with him?
No.
Oh
no. He was a very popular villain.
Oh, okay.
So popular that they did not. You couldn't just pitch an idea with him. It was like, we're only doing like 1 a year, 2 a year. So we actually had an idea, and it's like, I know we're not supposed to do it, but and they're like, yes, that's good. Yeah, yes, that's good. And so we wrote the whole thing. So the Evil Midnight Bomber, there's a whole thing he's doing, and everything happens. And the outline got approved. The first draft got approved. The second draft got approved. And then it was about to be animated. I was like, all right, well, that's it. And then we got a call like the next day that the script was dead. And we were like, why? What happened? And the Unabomber got caught. And at that point, they said no bombs, nothing. They didn't know if he had like placed, other bombs elsewhere, if his place was booby trapped. So like it was our first lesson into this business. But yeah, we have not written any comic books. But yeah, we worked on The Tick. The last. You
are a long time fan of like DC and Marvel properties, yes, and what have you. What's this? Could you parallel over to writing, taking some of your treatments, whatever, and just making it a comic book story?
I honestly have never thought about it. I don't know if it's my strength. I mean, if I was hired to, I'm sure I could come up with something, and it doesn't necessarily mean it would be good. But yeah, I've never really tried that. We've tried to adapt things. There was this one thing that we're still kind of reinventing right now, that one of the agencies tried to convince us that it should be a young adult book. And I was like, I don't write young adult book. And they're like, oh, but you know what? We write it as a young adult book. We sell it. It's a proof of concept. We get the audience, and then we can turn it into whatever you want to turn it into. So we wrote like a chapter, and I guess it was so bad that they came back to us and they're like, how do you feel about a ghostwriter? And we're like, no, that's it. We're done. We're just pull the plug on it. We'll wait till we can do it the way we want to do it. It just was not the right fit.
What about taking that Evil Midnight Bomber story that got rejected, revamping it now to a young adult thing, like it takes place like at a monster high school or something like that?
I have no idea I have no memory of what the script of what happened in it. It was such a long time ago. I don't even know where it is. I don't even know if I have a copy of it. I mean, like, this was like early 90s. When was that show? It was before I was at Letterman.
Like 95, 96. 96 was, I think, season 3. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it aired on Fox during Saturday mornings.
It aired on, so that was a weird thing. So The Tick aired on Saturday mornings on Fox, as you just said, but also for the third season, they had a deal with Comedy Central where it aired like Sunday nights at like 8 o'clock. So there were two different sets of rules. So there was like, you can't show bullets. Like in G.I. Joe, you know how it was like lasers?
Yeah. No one ever died.
Yeah. But it was like,
one of the characters was the human bullet. He had a giant cannon in his backyard and made his wife or his son fire him into the direction of evil.
Yeah. I know. I don't remember anymore, but I remember that there were rules you couldn't do for Saturday morning, but they were fine for the
Sunday night.
Sunday night.
I would love the Saturday morning one, the bullet episode. It's just blurred out, like it's like there was nudity or something. And it's just they still aired it. It was just a lot of blurry scenes.
A lot of blurry. You had no idea what was going on. But it was. I have no idea where that script is. I have absolutely no clue. I have no memory of anything. I don't remember. You brought up what you wanted to ask me about. What was it? Appearing on Letterman.
Well, I'm going to get to that in a second because I got a video clip and stuff to show you. But what is there something?
I just have no memory of anything anymore. I was there 17 years. There's so much of it that's just like, it's just like all squished together. There's a Letterman channel on Samsung TV.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
And there's so many times I'll turn my TV on and it goes like to that. And it's like, it's something I worked on. I have no memory of it at all. I'm just done.
I'm starting to have that with O&A stuff. Yeah. And like, we've been doing so much of the Todd Pettengill stuff lately that there were things I forgot when I was, I was interning and then a production assistant or like low level stuff at the station at the time. But now I'm going through these tapes and things that I have here. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. That same thing with the O&A stuff. And that used to drive me nuts when I would talk to people in radio and TV. And I'm like, oh, you remember when you talk? And they had no idea. And they're like, I've done so many things, I don't remember everything. Right. I get that, but I'm like, I thought this was something big that they would have remembered.
Yeah.
And as you get into it and do it after so long, you're sometimes like, oh my God, that it does happen. Forget things until I see a photo or somebody plays me a clip. And then sometimes even I look at the photo and I go, I still don't remember that. Yeah, and I'm in the photo right there.
I'm having that after we do a show. We'll do about 4 hours. And then Eric goes, hey, what do you want to title the show? I was like, bro, I don't even know what we just talked about for 4 hours. I'm ready just to eat and decompress for a bit. Yeah. So yeah, I get it.
But the weird thing is that like Dave did the show at NBC and he did it at CBS before we got there. And then he did. So Dave had been on TV forever. And he had the most amazing memory. He remembered everything. He still does. He'll reference some, he'll send me an email and he'll reference something that I said 10 years ago or something embarrassing that happened or a joke, like whatever it is, his memory is fine. I just don't, it's all just squished together. Plus, I didn't watch half of the stuff because I was running around backstage, like trying to figure out whatever the next situation was, put out whatever fire came up. And so there's so much of it I never saw, even though I was there.
I want to show you a couple of things because I want to talk a little bit about Harry Connick and then get into some of the Letterman stuff. This is my pal. He goes by Elf Twin Films. He's a live streamer on Twitch, but he's a filmmaker. He's out in Los Angeles here. And he said, everything you're saying is true and it hurts. As a filmmaker in LA, I can say it's always been hard here, but it's never before like this. Investors are more scared than ever, and I think AI is the answer. They think AI is the answer to everything. I recently pitched live to 3 studio execs that could have greenlit immediately. I killed my pitch. They laughed, but said no because it wasn't LGBTQ and about a straight relationship. It's not about if it's good, but it's what the studio thinks the public wants to buy. They want you to jam it in, even if it doesn't work. Have you come across that where they've given you notes and saying we need you to change the character to this, the concept to this?
I've never had that. I've never had somebody try to pitch or give me notes that, make it a more diverse group or make it. I've not had that. But a lot of times when you are pitching, you are sort of pitching yourself as well, why you're the one to tell this story. So if I have like the best script idea for a young woman who's starting to work in the big city and the struggles she has in a male-dominated world, I can have the best idea ever. Odds are they wouldn't want that for me because it's not my story to tell. You know what I mean? They're going to want somebody, a young woman who has that story to tell and has like real situations in her life that she can draw on and make it more genuine. It's so you are selling yourself in this thing we did with Bill Prady. We sort of it was called Final Wishes, and we describe how we got the idea and we talk about it, but there's a whole kind of subplot that involves the main character Paul finding out his mother has Alzheimer's, and we do say our father had it for 8 years, and our dad died, and it's something that a lot of people can relate to. They go through the same thing, and it's awful, but at the same time, some of the most ridiculous things happen, and you just can't help but laugh. But you're laughing respectfully because I've gone through it. I know I'm not just coming up with like a random situation about, well, what if like the Alzheimer's guy does it? It's like, so they understand that, we're the guys to tell this story. So something like that comes up, but I have not had somebody say, oh, can the person be they, them? Oh, can it be diverse? Oh, can it be? We haven't really had that. We do like to, we do like to balance out the scripts a little bit, but just because, just to kind of open up the scripts a little, but not for any sort of, trying to sell it, not for any kind of trying to appease anybody or check off things on a checklist.
Does it drive you nuts, like a lot of people, when they put out these reboots of properties or sequels or additions to a universe or something, and they change things just because it feels like they have to change it? Like there's a lot of outrage right now with the new Harry Potter series, either because people don't like the views of the author or because they recast Snape as a black actor instead of what he was described in the book and what have you. Does that drive you nuts, being a fan of some of these properties, when they make changes where it seems like, well, that doesn't make any sense, like you're just changing it for the sake of changing it?
I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I don't know if it was the writer or the show creator's idea to do it, if it was something that was forced on them. If it's something they genuinely thought was a good idea, whether it worked or not, I give them all the credit in the world. If it's something forced on them, if it's something like, for whatever reason, I did not have the best Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. Uh-huh. The Admiral Robert April is African American in the show. When they introduced that, they've referenced the character, but when they showed him the first time, I think it was in like the animated series, and he was Caucasian. That didn't bother me. Some of the changes that they made to Strange New Worlds, I didn't necessarily understand. I know that they wanted to try to tell different stories, but I also think you can create new characters to do that instead of taking an old idea or an old character or an old, whatever, and we're just for the sake of it making this change. I think if there's a reason for it, fine. If it doesn't work, at least you tried something different. But if it's just arbitrary, I don't necessarily understand why you would do it. So does that make any sense?
No, I get what you're saying, and I understand how you have to walk carefully, considering the business that you're in and that what you're still doing and all that stuff like there. It just seems like they make changes to make changes. Like, well, this is the modern audience. This is whatever. And it's not reaching the audience that it was supposed to reach, even though they're saying it for them, or they say, you're not the audience for this anymore.
Right.
It's like, well, I've been a Star Trek. Star Trek's been around 60 years. Doctor Who, 60 years. Star Wars, 40 something years. And you're like, we were the fans of this stuff. And now you're saying it's not for us anymore because you're making all these changes. And then you get upset when, like, they're not, now they're even saying it's like, we don't want you watching this. Like that's not smart to say at all, but the studios don't stop them.
No, but you know what? Like, with a lot of the examples you just gave, it's not even like that they're woke. It's just like you are ignoring canon for something that's been around for 60 years. So if you're going to do a Star Trek show, if you're going to do Star Wars, if you're going to do Doctor Who, part of the responsibility is honoring what came before. So if all of a sudden, a character who for 60 years of the show, that race of alien, that whatever, behaved this way, and you just made it go this way for whatever reason, it's like, I sort of think you have to have a good reason for it, or else you're just pissing off the fans. Then you're not doing a Star Trek show. You're not doing a Star Wars show. You're just doing something and kind of shoehorning it in.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of the responsibility you have. But, you also don't, if you're going to spend the money and you're going to do all this stuff, I'm sure you want to do something different and groundbreaking and something that's different than the other 7 shows that have been done. That's different than the other, 5 movies and I understand both sides of it, but as a fan, I think you really do have to honor the canon.
All right. Let's move on.
Doctor Who is frustrating. You and I would text all the time. It's so we would text.
Last 2 since Peter Capaldi, it has been extremely frustrating. I even was trying to give the benefit of the doubt to Jodie Whittaker. I'm like, all right, she kind of has she fits into some of the weird patterns of the Doctor, whatever. But then the writing around it was terrible. What they were trying to force through it was terrible. Like, it was getting super political. And you're like, Doctor Who is like Star Trek and everything, was always kind of progressive, inclusive, defending the rights of people, whatever. But it walked the line. It didn't go, we're attacking this moment now in the current time for this person or this country's administration or this policy with the UN. Or it's like, you're going too far. You got to vagaries. You got to just go like, hey, we should be treating each other better. We shouldn't be doing this stuff with bombs. But then they go, nope, here's everything that everyone's doing wrong currently. And you go, you lost the audience. And then when the audience goes away and they go, well, the audience is, against this and against that. And you go, well, you told them to go away. And they listened to you. And now you can't be their fault that they listened to you when you told them it's not for them anymore.
When Doctor Who went to Disney, I thought, all right, I actually thought that they have an opportunity here.
I did too. I was like, oh, the production value was going to jump.
But
it did, but the stories suffered and the messaging and through all that stuff was just like, and my biggest thing, and Jordan knows this, he cried at fucking everything.
Yeah.
It's
like a weekly segment of what did this guy cry about?
If he cried once in a rare while where it would made an impact for being emotional, ever, like you'd be like, holy shit, that was a moment. But everything made that last Doctor cry, and you're sitting there and like, he's a pussy. It's like, come on, you're tougher than this. In all your iterations for the last 60 years, you've had sensitive moments, but then you've also knew when to be a dick and when to, power up and go right for, the bad guy.
There was balance to his character and balance to the writing.
There was nothing there.
We've always talked about it. You can even tell political stories about today's landscape, but as long as you do it in a way that doesn't beat someone over the head. And that's the problem I'm having with like this new Star Trek is that they're catering to certain subsets of people, but not everybody. And you can tell a good story, bring a message to it, like they have been for 60 years and still be progressive. Like, I mean, they were progressive in the 60s, having Uhura, be a mainstay on the show, having, interracial kiss first time on television. Right. You can do the stories, and it's, it was big then, but no one thought, oh my God, they're trying to preach to us. They thought, oh, cool. It's a cool sci-fi show that just happens to be preachy. Right. Generations was the same thing. I learned a lot about the geopolitical landscape growing up, watching Star Trek, the Next Generation. Yeah. But it didn't like hit me over the head. Like, I have to be this way. I have to be this way. I have to be this way. It was just, these are good stories. They happen to have a message, and it sinks into your head and you start to think about it. By doing it the way they're doing it now, they're saying you're too stupid to understand allegory or anything like that. We have to make you see it for you to believe it. And it's just, it gets lazy. It's lazy writing.
There's no crafting of it's everything's very heavy handed. Everything in TV right now is very heavy handed.
It used to go back to one of the greatest of all time, All in the Family, right?
Yes.
Now, if you didn't know, if you just saw a clip out of context, which happens on YouTube and TikTok nowadays, you just go, well, see, look, this is what television used to be. It's like white America is racist. They hate all this. It's like, you don't know in that moment, yes, but you don't know the concept and the bigger context around this stuff that led to Archie having that rant, or letting to the misguided thing against George Jefferson, and then seeing George Jefferson be as misguided on the other side against all that stuff. It's like you see, you can do this stuff, but you're showing everybody, should you be doing this stuff? Or, hey, people like this, maybe don't be like that. Like, it was showing you, but letting you make your own decision. Now it's beating you in the face as soon as you watch it, saying, you're wrong. Here's everything in your culture, your family, your country is wrong. Here's what you need to do. Here's what being obsessed with the right side of history. Nobody wants to be on the wrong side of history, but nobody should be obsessed where I'm like, am I doing everything right all the time? Because then you're not focusing on anything else.
Well, you're also alienating like half your audience, because like All in the Family, they would literally have a debate. Like Archie represented half the audience and Meathead represented the other half. And they tried to present both sides equally. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it would lean more in one direction or another, but you're listening to Archie, and you look at the isolated clips and it looks like, it's just a two-dimensional racist, prejudice view of everything. But if you watch it in the context of the show and the debate that they're having, it's like, well, Archie has a point. Well, Meathead has a point here. And, there's not necessarily a right and wrong. A lot of times they would go there, but it wasn't about preaching, and it wasn't about telling people that they're right or wrong. When I was at Letterman, before I was head writer and when I was head writer, it was sort of passed down to us that the comedy should always be like, if you make a joke about a Republican, you're making a joke about a Democrat. If you make a joke about a Democrat, you make a joke about a Republican. If in the interview, if in talking, Dave or the guest or whatever, if they have their opinion come out, that's separate from the comedy. So we always tried to do that. Now, at times it was very tough. People would accuse us of going light on Obama, but for a while there was like no reference. Our biggest reference was he was sneaking cigarettes. And like George W. Bush, when he choked on a pretzel and passed out and hit a table and gave himself a black eye, it was like the greatest day ever. Like, we had all the comedy done in like an hour. But then it was like, well, what are we going to balance it out with? It's like, there's nothing even on that level. When the vice president, when Cheney shot a guy while duck hunting.
Yeah,
all that, it was like the greatest day ever. But I remember, we were going through, it's like, well, what do we have for the other side? And it's like, well, we don't really, we're focusing on a guy who shot people, we need, but there was like, and you can't make up the references. And now, and God bless him, I am so happy I'm not working on any of these shows. I'm glad I'm not.
Do you know how many people I've heard interviews with I think Letterman. He doesn't really talk about it too much, but I think once or twice I heard him say something. It might have been his Netflix thing. He was talking to somebody. He's like, I'm so glad I'm not doing the show anymore. Leno, when he's asked, says, I'm glad I'm not doing the show. Yeah. Conan is, saw the forest through the trees where he's like, I think I'm going to end my late night show. You don't end a late night show. Oh, we're going to end it. Now I'm going to do the podcast and do the live shows and all this other stuff. He saw where it was going before it happened. And there, none of them even Craig Ferguson. I talked to him at Sirius before we all left. He was glad that he was done too. He felt he'd done enough. Nobody wants to do that now. And the shows that are doing it now, I don't know how they're doing it now. I don't. Colbert went so far in one direction, right? And there's people who love it. It's still humorous towards one side, whatever, but it isolated so many people.
Right. But when he was going down the middle, his ratings weren't that great. It was once he really leaned into Trump that he found his audience. It's sort of like how people watch. I mean, nobody watches the news much anymore, but it's you watch the news not for, an up the middle take on the day's events. You want it that represents your side and your views. And I think you pick your late night show the same way. Fallon has gotten yelled at criticized for going too easy on Trump, then going in on Trump. It seems like, now it seems like you don't really mean it. So no matter what, but he's a guy that just wanted to have fun. Yeah. Colbert all in, Kimmel all in, and God bless him. Kimmel, I think, believes every single thing he's saying. And when they pulled him off the air, I was like, holy crap, man. I can't even imagine. I couldn't imagine, trying to pitch comedy, thinking your entire show can be pulled off the air. It was insane. I get anxiety watching those clips just from coming from Letterman. I don't know how to do it. God bless him.
When the Colbert thing was announced that his show was he was ending, and everyone's like, oh my God, because of that merger, because Trump, whatever. And it's like that's why they're getting rid of Colbert. And then you find out, they're not just getting rid of Colbert and then replacing him and have the next host of the Late Show. They're ending the entire franchise. It's coming to, as the kids say, full stop in a few weeks, where it's like, no, we're done altogether with that. That's not like where Kimmel was going to be fired and then didn't. This was, you have a 30-year history of the Late Show that we're just going to stop because of this thing here. I want to ask you this, because you've been around Letterman so long. It's so infamous with Dave, where he had, when he started with NBC, RCA owned it. So he would goof on RCA. When GE took over, it was really when Letterman came into his own, goofing on the GE executives or whatever. Mm-hmm. Goes to CBS after leaving because of GE and not getting the Tonight Show and what have you. A year or so into CBS, Westinghouse buys CBS for a tiny bit. So now he's back into his old, fighting weight of another corporation I can take shots at. And then, he grew out of that and went his way till his run was over. But Dave had that in him, taking shots at that. Had he still been on the air now and made a shot at any of the merger stuff going on, whatever, he wouldn't have been untouchable either, no matter what the ratings were he was commanding. They would have just all right, Dave's gone too. You're firing David Letterman? Oh yeah. Doesn't matter. We're just going to rent it out. That's the other thing too. CBS is not even replacing it with their own network programming. They're doing info. That info. What was it called?
They're doing
Jordan. We talked about it last week. Remember, late night from midnight to 6 a.m.
Infomercials.
Infomercials.
Well, they sold 2 hours.
Yeah, to Byron Allen.
Which is brilliant on Byron Allen's part, and it's great for CBS. They don't have to pay anything; they are getting paid, and they don't care about the ratings, so they're guaranteed.
And they don't have to worry. Well, they're not. We found out later on too. They're not getting advertising dollars for that, because in that deal, Byron Allen essentially rented those 2 hours for millions of dollars, and then also reserves the rights for any advertising.
Yeah, that's why
going on in those 2 hours.
Yeah, he saw an opportunity, and I think it's very smart of him to do that. I don't know. I was surprised that I thought that they were going to get another host for late.
We all did.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. I think all of these shows are too expensive now to do. So I don't. I think once a show goes, I don't know if they replace them anymore.
Well, I don't know who watches a show from start to finish anymore. Most of the time I see anything about Kimmel or anything, I'm checking it out on social media.
Yeah.
Like I've never sat down and watched a full show of Jimmy Kimmel. I'll catch it on X. I'll catch it on TikTok. I'll catch it
or
on
you'll just catch the
highlights. It's all bite-sized little highlights.
Yeah. You don't sit there and watch the whole thing. It's even like podcasts and streaming now. It's like, it used to be like, well, you got to get everybody listening to the podcast. They got it's the time spent listening, the time spent watching. Okay, the full episodes are there if you want to go back to that, but people are going to the highlighted clips that you pulled out and like, oh, here's a 10-minute chunk, a 20-minute chunk based on this guest, based on this topic that's a hot button issue right now or trending. They'll go to watch the clip. And if they're super fans, they'll go back and watch the entire episode. But everybody just wants the smaller, digestible stuff now. Yep. So, and you're right. I don't know who sits through even a half-hour television show on a network, on regular television.
It's all the older people. I mean, like late night always skewed old, especially after like the TiVo was invented. It was like the people that are watching live are like the older people. Yeah. Like it's not the young demo. And now, I mean, like all these shows are so expensive because of union, because of bands, because of music, the lighting, the giant sets, all this stuff. And then like if Paul Rudd has a movie to promote, he goes on Hot Ones, which is, they get more of an audience than most of the late night shows. There's like no set. There's like,
it's just all black. Yeah.
Right. So
I watch Hot Ones so much because of that. It's so stupid, but I watch it.
Right. But also, as we say to various people who that's why you pitch a show. That's why you come up with whatever idea you have and you pitch it. Who would have guessed that would be like one of the biggest shows out there? And if someone has something to promote, that's where you go in addition to, the late night shows. But it's like it costs them nothing. It costs them like so little to do in comparison. And that's what all the podcasts are. It's someone's living room or a set, 2 microphones, and it's people. That's what you have like taken a talk show and it has de-evolved into that. And there's no band, there's no lighting, there's no expensive set. That's that. I thought that they were going to put something like that. Get the rights to Smartless, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And put that on at 11:30 or some podcast where they're not spending that much and they put it on there and you can still release it as a podcast. So you have several different, revenue streams coming in or whatever. But,
well, I mean, you saw Netflix do that. Netflix just put out their podcasting version of a thing, so you can go on there and watch like a Smartless, or you can watch.
They tied that deal in with iHeart. Like they have some iHeart shows that are available through their podcast, through Netflix, whatever. Television and radio have always been far behind of wherever the current trends are and the internet are heading. Netflix is now doing the podcast stuff, putting them up front and center for that. Give it another 2 years before the networks start going, hey, maybe we should start showing Joe Rogan at 12 o'clock at night. Maybe we should put Call Her Daddy on at 10 p.m. They'll be, again, way behind everybody else with it. Yeah. But I do think that eventually, I didn't think about podcasts going on network television, but that
I know
seems probable. It's cost effective.
Yeah.
You remember how you guys used to goof and we used to love Craig Ferguson's show that was on after you guys, the Late Late Show.
Dave produced it.
And it was done so on the cheap, whether it was the presentation Craig wanted to give or what the actual budget was. But he would always show, it's like it was raining in Los Angeles and he'd show you backstage where water was coming through the ceiling. Like he would show you how cheap he was playing with puppets. He had a black screen. He had a barn setting there. Like there was nothing really like a theater experience that you guys had or what Leno had in a proper television studio. That was what made him appealing. He made it work and it was done, cheaply, cost effectively. Now everyone looks and goes, why aren't we all doing that?
Right.
It's like, in fact, we could do it cheaper than what Craig Ferguson was doing and make that and put that out there.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I have no idea what their budget, what they were dealing with. I just know he went out there, as you said, and really tried to do something that nobody else was doing. His monologue was different.
Mm-hmm.
He looked at everything that all the other shows do, and he's like, all right, what's a different version of this? What's a different version of this? And he just went down like that. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. I really don't. I don't watch. I can't watch any of the shows because I still have the Late Show dreams. I still have dreams that were in the first commercial and Dave cut a joke in the top 10 and I have 4 minutes to pitch a new joke, get it typed on a blue card on a typewriter, call the control room so they can put it in the Chiron machine so it'll come up on the screen, all in like 4 minutes. And we never held the camera. We never held the taping. So I still have nightmares. So even if like everything else wasn't, I have too much PTSD from just working on the show to watch any of them. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this then. I mean,
yeah,
we know Colbert is done.
Yeah.
When Kimmel is done, I think that is done. I don't think they get a replacement for Kimmel. Fallon, I think, is probably the only entity or the Tonight Show really is the only entity that NBC would still consider another host going for, unless they have some major financial changes in the next couple of years when they're done with Fallon, that the Tonight Show might be the only game in town for a late night television.
Right.
Does it blow your mind that late night TV is almost parallel like morning radio, where the value's not there anymore? Morning radio was big money for radio companies. Late night television, big money for the television networks. Neither are pulling in the demos that they want or the live audience listening to it anymore. People will listen to whatever big terrestrial shows that are still there. They wait for like an hour when the on-demand version comes up on their podcast feed, or the YouTube version is up there that because they were live streaming the show at the time. They're not there much during the live time, but they're there for the on-demand stuff. They're both kind of parallel and they're both kind of dying out.
Yeah. Dude, I pitched a radio show there's a station in Poughkeepsie, and I have a house sort of near there, and I occasionally listen. I still like radio. I love radio. I know you guys do. I've done it. I did it in Australia for a few years. I worked on and off at Sirius for here and there. I was on the Don Imus show when I was 12 years old for like a year. Excuse me. So it's like I pitched a show based on something that we used to do in Australia, this radio show in Australia, and it would be at night on like a Sunday night. It would appear there's like 3 colleges that are in the area of this one station, and I'm like, it could be. Ideally it's like 3 hours, but if you want it to be an hour, it'll cost nothing. I was even saying, don't even pay me. Just like, let me just try this out for like a few weeks and see if anybody listens. And they said, we have no local programming. We have none. Even the stuff that made it seem like they did, everything was just sent to them by whatever parent company they had. Yeah. And then they had somebody recording local weather or traffic or whatever, and they would just drop it in. It's sad. I mean, it really is sad. And I sort of have felt there's no harm in taking the risk. Try something out, put something there. Best case scenario, you have somebody you can syndicate elsewhere. You have a new property, a new IP now that you're going to own. I have wondered why, they're not taking more risks with, right now the economy is not fantastic.
Right.
So people don't want to pay for cable. They've been cutting the cord for years. They have YouTube TV, or they have Philo or whatever, or they have the free ones like Pluto TV and stuff like that.
Tubi.
Tubi's a gold mine for old properties. I love that.
Right. I love that. I love Pluto. I love I love all of them. And what I haven't really understood why they're not doing that they're not all right, we're gonna take this show, we're gonna put it on NBC, right? So you don't have to pay money for the streaming. You don't have to pay money for the YouTube TV. For those people that want to, you can watch it. If you have people that don't want to pay for that and you watch it on NBC, the Office spinoff, if that started on NBC and then the next day that was on Peacock, the people that don't want to pay for Peacock will watch it on there. You can charge more ad revenue. And then the people that are paying for it elsewhere, if you want it with no commercials, you'll pay. So you're setting up various revenue streams instead of just one. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, again, if it doesn't pay off, it doesn't pay off. I'm not a smart guy, so I'm sure it's a dumb idea. But like, my mom doesn't know any of this stuff, and all she does is like watch TV and movies. She doesn't know what's on what streaming thing and how to find this and how to find that. And she's like on NBC or ABC trying to find, whatever it is, and watch the evening news at 7 or 6 or whatever it is. So there are still people there. You can charge more for advertising. Like, why not play into everything instead of just saying, I know it's to save money, but it's like, all right, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. There are people that will listen to radio because they don't like podcasts. They don't know how to get them. They don't want to pay for Sirius. It's in their car for free. You're delivering it to them for free at a time when the economy is bad. That's your angle. You pay some PR agency to sell that as a concept. You want to save money? Listen to the radio. You want to save money? Watch NBC. Don't, forget all the streaming services. But, I don't know.
They also don't want programming. Remember, it used to be the network was the star. You'd have Thursday night and they would have must-see TV. Yep. So it was NBC's must-see TV. That was the forefront. Oh, what's on must-see TV? Yeah. And then you'd have Seinfeld, Cheers, Friends, whatever, like Frasier, all these major shows, but under NBC's must-see TV. And like Jordan just said, ABC's TGIF for Friday nights, and you had Family Matters, Full House, all these other shows. That was the big thing at the front. It's sell NBC, sell our branding with this, sell ABC. Nobody gives a shit about a network now. They don't care about it. It's like, oh, that's on NBC. Okay, and what does that do for me? I want to see the property up front.
But TGIF didn't mean anything until they made it into something. You know what I mean? Like, all right, we have Urkel, we have Full House, we have whatever the Patrick Duffy one was.
Step by step.
My favorite thing in the step-by-step thing, if you look at the opening credits, there's a very poorly constructed, the last image is a very poorly constructed, they have, the whole cast is on like a roller coaster, but they've added an ocean that is, the waves are breaking right in front of the roller coaster, and like high tide would kill everybody on the roller coaster, would come down and everybody would die. It is like, it makes no sense, and the effects look terrible, but enough. So TGIF meant nothing until they sat down. All right, how can we promote our Friday night? It's all the advertising. If you have the product, make it mean something. You know what I mean? NBC is your home for free programming. Save money. It's like they can create those nights because you have material. You just have to come up with whatever theme it is and pay some guy to come up with it. Yeah, watch the end of this. Oh yeah, that's. Oh look, you want to see something else? When the kid sneezes and the popcorn flies out, right here. Look, he hits the button. At the bottom.
Yeah, he hits the button, and he's not even near the bucket. Yeah.
Nope.
But all right, hold on.
You're ruining the movie magic.
Oh, watch. Ready. It's right here.
I thought they said Rennie Harlan for a second. I was like, that makes more sense.
And
I think that's Magic Mountain
right there
in Valencia.
You're right.
It is Magic Mountain.
One bad storm, or in California, a bad earthquake, and that whole lot is gone.
Yeah, but look, and the ocean moves as the camera pulls back.
That is some bad rotoscoping.
Look how close. Yeah, look, it's terrible rotoscope. Look how close the ocean is to the roller coaster. Nobody would approve that.
You know what's great at this shot? I believe this is Six Flags Magic Mountain. The ocean is actually the parking lot.
Oh, my God,
I know exactly where that's at.
You're 100% right.
That is so much wasted green paint just to get this horrible effect in there.
Where is my Festiva? It's covered in green paint.
You worked at the Ed Sullivan Theater for so long.
17 years.
Colbert is going to be done. What are they going to do with the theater?
No idea. I have no idea. I haven't heard anything. I don't know anything. It was so damn cool, man. Dude, I have, is it here? No. I have one day they fixed up all the Ed Sullivan Theater chairs, and the ones that were kind of broken, they just pulled out and replaced. And then a bunch of the producers got the original chairs that were removed. And those had been there since Ed Sullivan. Like someone sat in there to watch the Beatles, to watch like Elvis. And I have one of those over there. The whole place, like you felt the history. You look around, you look up, and you just saw you saw like in the ceiling, everything is like so damn old. You go to the 7th floor, which was the edit room, and you get off. And on the wall, when you get out of the elevator, there were 4 giant frame photos. And it was Jack Parr. It was all the people that had shows there. Jack Parr first, and Jackie Gleason, Ed Sullivan, and then Dave. And it was so damn cool. There were so many times you just staring at that. The Jackie Gleason one just looked so like he was just standing there on the same stage where we do our stupid stuff. That also did make me feel like, wow, whatever idea we came up with was lame and shouldn't be on the same stage as where Jackie Gleason did the Honeymooners. It just felt like I'm ruining something. I'm ruining the legacy of the place.
Well, you guys,
I don't know what they're going to do.
You guys did a great job of honoring and ruining the legacy of that place. We used to play clips of when Tony Randall used to just bring random Broadway people onto, because they were running to rehearsal. They were running somewhere, they were late, but they needed to rehearse real quick. Yeah. And he would just bring out some Broadway star.
Yeah.
And Dave's like, "What's going on?" And Tony would be like, "We just need a few minutes." And all of a sudden they just would belt out a Broadway tune and then run off, and Dave would go to shake their hands and they all run away. And I'm like,
we actually
honoring and disgracing at the same time.
Yeah, we featured one a couple weeks back where Mandy Patinkin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah, I have no memory of anything. I don't even know if I was working there at that point or not, or if I watched it at home. I remember my first day going to work. There were so many. I watched Dave since like the first week he was on at NBC. I got like massively food poisoned, and I was sick to myself. I was like 12 or 11.
Eric was tired of his bullshit.
He really was. Eric
he
tried
poisoned those pickles that he makes.
Here, try this salad Jello.
Yeah, exactly. And my dad, I was dying, and my dad got the portable black and white TV and moved it in my room, and it's like, "Here, watch this." And then my dad went to bed, and I watched one of the first Late Night with David Letterman. So I was like, I don't know what the fuck this thing is, but it's genius. So I grew up watching it, and now on my first day, I went in and I go in the elevator, and there's writer Jerry Mulligan. And it's like, I've seen Gerard Mulligan for years on television. And now I'm like, holy crap. When I saw Biff the first time, I was like, oh my God, it's Biff. Yeah. Chris Elliott, when I worked with Chris Elliott the first time, it was really, really intimidating. But Biff is the real stage manager. Like the guy is walking around stage managing. It's not like he's talent. You know what I mean? So, and Jerry Mulligan was a writer that had been there since Dave did the morning show. So yeah, I grew up, I knew the legacy of the show, and I was very aware that I did not want to be the one to ruin it.
You guys always, I don't know whether it was just extremely creative or you had nothing. It could be either, but you always loved making, background people and the union guys or whatever, somehow a focus of a bit that she was supposed to be a one and done, and all of a sudden they're getting recognized when they cheered when they come out on stage while Paul's playing, before Dave even comes out, like the cue card guy, Tony Mendez. He would come out there and people are like, oh my God, that's Tony Mendez. There's Biff. There's that guy. There's Anton Fig as he's coming out. Like everyone became a celebrity that was surrounded with that show.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember Biff would walk down the street, because to go from the office building to the studio, you'd have to go out into the street and go around. And when Biff would come out, people would cheer. Like people would be like, "Oh my God!" and take their picture and get him to sign stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was, they did that starting at NBC, so we just sort of continued it. But like Carter Bays and Craig Thomas, who they created How I Met Your Mother. They came up with a piece for the show, which Pat and Kenny read Oprah transcripts, and it was the two stagehands. And we would get real Oprah transcripts, and we would they would single out various parts and have them read it. And time after time, people accused us of faking it, because it would be like, please welcome my guest, Tom Cruise, and then Kenny would be like, hello, and we'd get a big laugh. But then Oprah's reactions were in the transcript. So it'd be like, oh boy, woo, whoop, and they would just say all these things back and forth. And it's like, you're gonna make Oprah look bad. You're saying, no, it's in the damn transcript.
You're just reading it.
That was a great piece that those guys came up with. That was like, we used to, if there was an emergency, we would have one standing by. We would have rehearsed one and have one standing by. So if something fell through, if a guest canceled, if something just didn't work, we would have that ready to go. So we'd always have fresh transcripts coming in. We'd always be rehearsing them with Kenny and Pat Farmer.
And if they didn't have anything, they used to just make magic out of nothing.
Yeah.
There was one time where I honestly felt you guys were very light on the side bits, that you just had a camera set up at a diner somewhere nearby, and Dave, every now and then, if there was a lull, he would just go rotating pies.
Yes.
And it would cut to, and the cakes would be in that spinning thing, and you'd have a graphic annoyingly flashing on the screen just saying rotating pies throughout the whole course of the show.
I remember that. That I remember. Oh God, I don't think I was the head writer. But you know what? Like stuff like that. If Dave embraced it, it was genius. So, and if the comedy tanked, and if Dave was having fun with it, the audience loved it. It was people tuned in to watch Dave. It was Dave's reaction. It was not the comedy. It wasn't the guest. It was Dave's reaction to the comedy, whether he was milking it and it was great, and he didn't need us. He's the funniest guy I ever met. Still is the funniest guy I ever met. And like, we emailed him. It was his birthday last week, and we emailed him, and or it was the other day, excuse me. And he emailed us back, and just like this stupid little email he just sent, it was ridiculously funny. And it's like, it just kind of made me sad. It was like, wow, his email is funnier than mine. I can't compete with the little email he wrote. But yeah, it's genius, man.
I used to go to the Late Show a lot. I'd always write for tickets, and I guess there was like a resting period, of how often you could get tickets and stuff. But I just would constantly kept sending letters in to the old days of a self-addressed stamped envelope to get the tickets mailed to you.
Yep.
The few of the times I was there, one time you had Pete Sampras on, legendary tennis player, and you had some cooking segment on after that, and they were making tuna steaks, and it stunk up the whole theater for the rest of the time. So like Pete did his segment, hung around for the food cooking segment. Then they came back to do whatever, and you could just, everybody in the audience is holding it because the tuna stank up the fucking place. And Dave kept making a mention about that. He had to be nice to the guests, but how the place just smelled like low tide.
Yeah.
Another time I was there, White Zombie was performing, set off the fire alarms.
Oh my God, I remember that.
So while we're there, like they have the fire alarms because he has pyro, like that spinning fireworks thing going on, and the fire lights in the theater start going off, the strobes, but you think it's all part of the show. So you're like, oh, this is great. Then you see pages coming down, and they're like telling people you got to get out, get out. Whenever the television show was still recording at that point, the band still plays. Dave comes out, Rob Zombie, everybody will be right back. They evacuate everyone out of the theater. Dave has to finish the show out on the side street with the fire trucks.
Yeah.
Because we're not allowed back in there. So they sent the audience home. I didn't get to see the ending of the show till it aired on television that night. But Dave was sitting there and he goes, well, we said it before and said it again. They blew the roof off the dump. And he was just thanking all the fire department people and everything. And he's looking out there and there's still smoke coming out. He's like, maybe we'll be here tomorrow. Good night, everybody. And then
everything was an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like other shows would stop. But no, anything that happened was an opportunity. There was one day where there was a blizzard and like all of New York was like shut down. And I walked to work from my apartment. Everybody walked to work. We had no audience. And I was like, all right, we're doing our Blizzard show. We've been given an opportunity. What are we going to do? It was like, who are we going to get to sit in the audience? We're going to find people off the street? Are we going to do this and that? We have to try and figure out an entrance for Dave. Can we get a dog sled? Can we get a snowplow? And it was like, all right, let's try and go for a dog sled. Dave liked that idea. We liked the idea. We couldn't get it because the bridges were closed. We couldn't get a dog sled into the city. So what can we get? And then from that, so everything was an opportunity that you embrace. If the band sets off the smoke alarm and Dave has to end the show in the street, that's genius. Like, that's a huge opportunity that you take advantage of, which was really a good lesson, because now anything that happens, we can handle. There's so many times I've been working on a show and it's the guest is stuck in traffic. What are we going to do? It's like, well, we're going to embrace it. Let's do a live countdown. Where are they? Let's look at a map. They're 5 blocks away. Let's get them to send a photo of the traffic. Like, whatever it is an opportunity to do something different instead of having it be like the same show night after night after night. Right. If Dave went out in the warm up and saw 2 guys with like matching sweaters that just happened to be there, and Dave was talking about it, all of a sudden we know he's going to talk about that on the air.
Get a camera on those 2 guys. Yeah.
Yep. So the director, Jerry, was listening and be like, all right, let's get a camera on those guys. And then Eric and I are like, all right, let's try to get another sweater, or maybe we'll get them to switch sweaters, or let's get them to change sweaters, or like whatever it is. Can we change a joke in the top 10 to reference 2 guys wearing the same sweater? Whatever it is.
You can do the callback in the theater. Yeah.
Yep. And whatever it is, you've been given an opportunity, and you run with it and have fun. The bar also is kind of a little lower when something like that happens, because the audience is in on the joke. They know you're flying by the seat of your pants. So, if we come out and Sue Hum, the costume woman, comes out with like a new sweater for them to try on, and it's taken her a while to walk down and to walk into the audience to get them, and Paul starts playing piano music, whatever it was funny, because it was like you didn't know what was going to happen. It was real.
One of the shows I went at, Dave was still giving out canned hams, right?
Hams.
And I knew he was doing that. I came with a canned ham that I signed.
Yeah.
And when he was taking questions from the audience, and we happened to be like second row on the left side where Paul's area was, and he would do his monologue. And I'm going like this, and he goes, yes. And I go, I brought you a canned ham with my autograph on it. And he just looks down and he looks up and he goes, what's your name? I said, Eric. And he came and he took the ham and he goes, Eric, my prayers have been answered. Hit it. And then Paul hit the music and he ran off stage. So, yeah, I loved that show so much.
I was in the audience at late night with David Letterman, and 2 friends of mine from Australia were visiting. And whenever my friends came to visit, they could stay with me as long as they want, but they had to bring me an Australian beer that I liked. It was called Victoria Bitter. So they brought it. So I got tickets to see Letterman, and I brought my 2 friends, and we brought a can of beer. And in the same warm up, we said, here, we got you a gift. And we gave it to Dave, and Dave's like, oh, thank you. And now he put it on his desk, started the show, and the rest of the show, he kept holding it up saying, tonight's show is brought to you by Victoria Bitter. And they worked it into the whole show. And I was like, holy crap, dude. And I called my brother who was at college, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what happened, but we just completely changed the comedy and the direction of the show. You got to watch tonight at 12:30, and it was like the same experience.
When you were there till the very end, and I have a clip I want to show you in just a moment, and you've been very generous with your time. We don't want to hold you too much longer here. After that was done, you wound up getting you were working with us at SiriusXM for a while with after Anthony left, so it was Opie and Jimmy, and you were there. You and your brother were there. And then you also left then to go, you were there for a couple of years and left to go to, I guess it was Fox, or it was just Fox, the syndicator for the Harry Connick Jr. talk show.
NBC produced it. It was on Fox.
Okay.
When we sold the pilot, we did it as a pilot, sold the pilot, and then we had like a year until we were going to start shooting it, and we couldn't really do any TV. And this offer came from SiriusXM to do various things there. And we said, well, we have a limited time. And they're like, that's fine. So it's like all built into the contract. And we also had, it's weird, we weren't going to be on TV for a year, but we were under contract by both Fox and NBC. So we couldn't violate either contract.
Right.
So like I couldn't say anything bad about this person, or I couldn't necessarily participate if it went into like a dark area. You know, I had to clean my social media. Somebody went through my social media and told me to delete jokes from my Twitter because it wasn't daytime friendly.
Right.
So whatever we were doing at Sirius, it was still like I had to protect my other gig that was a year away.
Well, I know that caused some problems at Sirius too, because at one point you guys had to leave.
Yeah, there was a situation where Opie knew what we could and couldn't do, and yeah, so there was something going down, but I couldn't. I literally couldn't respond, or
that was with Pete. The thing with Pete Davidson, yeah,
right. And I talked to Pete a billion times. I had no issue with him, but I couldn't. I had to remove myself from
that situation.
Yeah, or I would have lost the show before it ever went on the air.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, at the time I was, wasn't involved with your stuff, so I didn't know. But hearing how everything was on both sides and everything, yeah. Hope had a tendency to cause problems, and, under the guise of being entertaining on the radio. And it actually caused a bit of a rift that, you guys weren't going to be working with us anymore. But luckily you got the thing fully picked up and you went and did Harry Connick Jr. I'm actually in a clip somewhere on that show when he was doing the tiny he was living in a tiny house on the pier.
Right. We're there
on the west side there. Yeah. So the stupid green thing, but we were there at night.
Harry was.
I have construction going on, so I have a green screen. So it makes things.
Don't ruin the magic.
I didn't know.
At this point. But we were all down there. Like the Stangels are there, and Roland and Paul and all that. And there was just a shot or something where Harry's living in the house and he comes out of the house like he's saying hi to the neighbors, and we're just like standing there staring at him like what's going on here. It was just a quick cutaway thing, like who is this guy living in a tiny house?
It was very much of like a Late Show with David Letterman cutaway joke for like a remote of just all right.
It was something like he was walking out of the tiny house. There was a mailbox, like he was getting his mail or paper, and he's saying hi to the neighbors, and people just we were walking down the street like, fuck you, dude. Yeah. He had a good run with that. You had 5 years out of that show, right?
We had, was it 5? I thought it might have been 2 or 3.
I thought you had a 5-year run. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I think it was under whatever it was what we were contracted for. Like it was 2 or 3 years, and we were owned by NBC. I think originally we were going to be on NBC. And then Fox came in and said, we really want to air it, and paid NBC a lot of money to air it on Fox. And NBC, it would have been the same time slot all around the country. Fox, it
syndicated.
It was syndicated. So we were on at like 10 in the morning. We were on at 1 in the morning. Like it was just, it depended on the market.
You guys did something with that show that I didn't see until Kelly Clarkson's show came around. Harry was the host, but there were times where Harry would either open the show or be the musical guest performing stuff at the beginning, whatever. Do you feel like the Kelly Clarkson show kind of lifted that from you guys? Do you find that to be like an homage? Do you find that like that's kind of cool that you influenced that thing, or did you think like, hey, they just stole our concept?
Well, we knew dealing with Harry that like, excuse me, Harry wanted to show that he was funny, and he was legitimately funny. We sold another show before that. It was a sitcom that was his idea. Dave was producing it. And while Harry was on tour, we were on his tour bus with him and writing it in between concerts and in between rehearsals, and he's the greatest guy. He is ridiculously nice, so much so that I kept waiting to see the real him. Like, this can't be the guy. He was the greatest guy in the world. And when women came to see the show, they just wanted to see Harry, and they wanted to hear him sing, and they wanted to to see all that. So it made perfect sense for us to build a show around Harry organically, instead of taking a show and just dropping him into it. So that's what we did. I know after the fact, Kelly Clarkson started doing her show. And that was on NBC. I have no idea if they stole it from us, but I think they, built a show around her strengths. And
when they launched her show like a year or so before Ellen was going to sign off. Mm-hmm. And when I was watching Kelly's show and how it was evolving, I was like, I know I've seen this before. And then I realized, I'm like, oh, this is like Harry's show. The way the open was that he would sing the song sometimes. If there wasn't a musical guest and you got to kill 3 minutes, hey, I'm going to sing a song. And he would play the piano. The piano's right there next to her.
Yeah. Dude, it would be crazy because like we would just be in rehearsal and Harry's band is there, and Harry would just walk over and just start, improvising on the piano, and then the band would come in, and it's like we're trying to put a show together and we're rehearsing and trying to figure this out. But then after a little while, there's like a full concert going on, like right here, and they're playing what they normally play, or they're riffing on something, or they're playing like a pop song that you wouldn't expect that they would be playing. Whatever it was, they could just do it. Mm-hmm. They were the most talented people. It was the whole thing was a lot of fun. He was a good guy. It was a lot of fun.
You were nice enough to invite me to 2 tapings. You guys taped, was it at CBS?
It was CBS.
Yeah. On 57th, right?
Yeah.
And I saw what you mean when Harry would come out, because you were recording live to tape, but you also weren't as harsh as getting the hour done like you did with Letterman. So sometimes you have a little bit of a pause while they move things around on the stage. Sure. Harry would come out and say hi to all the Midwestern women that took the bus or the plane to get here, and photos, whatever. But you had a younger lady that was constantly going around and taking photos of everything. And I said, I was like, why is this lady everywhere? And you like, oh, that's his daughter. Yeah. And you wound up hiring his daughter just to document everything.
Yep. They documented everything. Everything. But like, so you probably saw this when the women would be in the audience and they would be getting ready for Harry to come out. You would literally see them adjusting their blouse, unbuttoning an extra thing, and like putting on makeup. And they were so excited to see him. And when he would come in the audience and talk to them, answer questions, talk whatever, during the commercial breaks or while we were setting up something, there was one time he was like cutting through one of the rows, and a woman grabbed his ass, pinched his ass, and he turned around like, "Excuse me, did you just pinch my butt?" And everybody laughed, but I don't think Harry was joking. I think he was like, he felt violated by this woman who just really reached up and grabbed hold and like didn't want to let go. The women loved him, man.
There are worse problems to have in your career.
Right.
I'm just saying, I get it, the violation, the intrusion of your person.
Yeah.
But if that's the worst that you've got going on right now, maybe, yeah.
You think he went home that night and he goes, God, I can't believe that happened to me.
Just lean over and say, make sure she never gets tickets to come back to the show again. But other than that, it was what it was. And what have you.
There were times that they sent me out to do like a warm up or to do an intro or something before the show. And I would always come out the few times I did it. I would say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. I'm Harry Connick Jr. And because I clearly look nothing like Harry Connick Jr., I'm like half his height and like 5 times his weight. It got a big laugh. But it hurt me a little, just the little tear going down my face as they would laugh, because I'm so clearly not Harry Connick Jr.
They're all like, "Boo! Get off the stage."
You're Barry Connick Jr.
Exactly.
The lesser known of the Connick Juniors.
Yeah.
So you had a good run with that, and then you have all the other stuff you've been pitching and doing these seminar things.
I mean, we sold the animated show after that, and then that went away. We the Bill Prady thing, like we developed that for a good year, and then we pitched it for like another 6-8 months. Like that whole thing was like 2 years, and then that was a prisoner of war or a casualty of war, excuse me. And it's like there have been quite a few shows that we've sold that have ended up on a shelf, or that it's in development hell and you're just waiting. And we literally have our hands right now in about 8 or 9 different projects. They're all in various stages of development. And we're just like waiting to see which ones go first. And some of these we've been working on for years. Dude, I don't know if you saw this, but they announced like 2 weeks ago that a new animated Garfield show just got picked up, right?
I didn't see that, no.
Yeah. Now, they said they've been developing it for like 5 years. What is the like holdup on that? It's Garfield the cat. He hates Mondays and loves lasagna. There's no twist on it. It's just Garfield.
Here's what the holdup is. They got to go through countless archives and try to make AI Lorenzo music so that he can voice Garfield once again.
Right.
It takes time to get all of that stuff done.
I mean, that's how AI should be used, to be honest.
Exactly right.
That is how it's being used, because they just showed the trailer for that Val Kilmer movie where he's in the movie, but he's not in real life with us.
Oh, that's so weird to watch. I watched the trailer and like the still shots, like of him just kind of looking off in the distance. I was like, okay, I see it. And then there's a point where like he has speaking lines, and I'm like, no, that's weird. Like that is really weird. All right, and I know people signed off on it and all this stuff, but that I don't know. That's crossing a line.
All right, so how do you feel about? We haven't seen it yet, but we know that Bruce Willis sold his likeness to an AI company, so he could continue working because he is, very ill and has been for a while. Right? Is that the same thing, or is that?
But see, did he sign off on this, or does he have someone like a conservatorship or like an executor of his, like a state that's signing off on these kinds of things? Because like Val Kilmer, embraced a lot of this stuff because for his documentary Val, he had a lot of AI generated speaking parts to help him go through that. So I know,
but he was also
on the forefront of this.
He was also of sound mind when
and that's what I'm saying.
He wasn't physically able, but he was still there. Bruce Willis is not.
That's what I'm saying. There. Like, is it him having a hand in this, or is it somebody else representing Bruce to keep that legacy going?
Imagine it's his daughters. Like they're like, this is the best thing for your dad. And they're like, I am so sick of his shit over the years. Just like everybody else that's worked with Bruce Willis. Like this is their way. They're getting his comeuppance.
This is how they make Cop Out too.
Yeah. Or they remake Sixth Sense and it is just him being the ghost in there.
Yeah.
I worked with him at Late Show, and he was going to be the guest. Whenever he was on, he would do a ton of comedy. He would want bits written, pre-taped, hold-ups, props, all this stuff. He would not want to come out and just do a straight interview. It was always so much shtick.
I'm surprised he didn't want to do like, music.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he came out with a harmonica at one point. But we had a bunch of scripts approved by both Bruce and Dave, and we were going to shoot it. Dave got ill. He got shingles, I believe. And we were all of a sudden in the middle of the day, Dave was like deathly ill and sent home. And we're like, are we canceling the show? And I don't know. And then later we were called to a meeting. We were told, all right, Bruce Willis is going to guest host tonight. And I was like, holy crap. So we have to figure out if he needed that much comedy just for his guest segment, now we have to fill a whole show. So now we're trying to figure it out. And he was very nice to me because he relied on us. Like we were like feeding him lines. We were like writing jokes or lines or suggestions or pitches on a card and handing it to him when like a tape was rolling. Or sometimes if he was talking, we knew where the edge of the desk would be. So we would like slide a blue card in with a joke written on it. So you didn't see it on camera, but we were feeding him stuff. He was so nice to me that one time. It was like we were best friends. And I know he you know, if he saw me the next day, he wouldn't know who I am. But I was going to
say, next time he's on the show, he comes around, hey, I'm Bruce. And you're like,
yeah, hey, I'm Bruce.
Yeah, we're back to here again.
Yeah. But I like to pretend we were best friends.
Two quick things, and then I know you got to go. One, any thoughts, any memories of your time working with us at SiriusXM? Either being at the Jim and Opie and Jim thing, or when they split and it was just Opie in the afternoon.
Well, you know, no matter how things ended, I really appreciated Opie. I appreciated Jimmy. I appreciated you. Travis, Troy. I enjoyed working. Roland. I enjoyed working with everybody there. I love radio. All of that, like if you're having fun and if you're learning, then you're doing a good job. And we were trying, SiriusXM wanted us to do some stuff. Like they had goals for us. Opie had his goals. We were trying to do the best show that we could to make everybody happy. Mm-hmm. And also I don't know if, like we were trying to make sure Jimmy was looked after, and Jimmy was very low maintenance with us. It was fine. It was just trying to find, like Opie knew the show he wanted to do. Opie had been doing radio forever, and now so sorry,
I said, yeah. So he says since 18.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and now without Anthony there, he had a chance to reinvent and do whatever he wanted. And I'm sure Jimmy had. So it was like it was a hard path to navigate, just to make sure everybody was happy. And also Sirius, like they wanted, like, if Anthony's gone, is it Opie and Jimmy? Is it somebody else? What is going to happen here? Is the show going to change? Now is a chance where we can make changes and fix things up, which is not necessarily what anybody else wanted. So that all that stuff is very stressful and difficult.
Too many cooks.
Definitely too many cooks. But every single day coming in and watching the whole thing happen, and like it was a truly live show. And Late Show is live to tape. I mean, we never stopped it, as I told you, but this was just live, and it was like, I found it to be so exciting, and it was just, whatever you say is just instantly out there, and it's just, It's just done, and you try to build on it, and so like we're trying to produce it, and Eric and I are trying to like write suggestions like we would have done for Dave, but sending it to Opie, and like if people are talking about various things, obviously pulling up the clips, but is there anything else we can do? Is there another level we can do? How can we expand the channel? It was stuff like that. I found it all very exciting. I don't regret any of it. I appreciate everybody. And, I still see Sam. I still see Travis, Troy from time to time. You and I text constantly. You've been nice enough to invite me on here many, many times. I just honestly felt like,
no, and then he shows up on Bennington, and I'm go, oh, Justin's on Bennington again. That's nice.
But you know what? But even Ron always says he wants to do an unmasked with us, and I say, like,
that makes sense. You guys should have done one of those.
I'm not a comic. I'm not. I'm good in small.
It doesn't matter if you're a comic. It's a comedy show. You are in comedy. You don't have to be a stand-up to be in comedy.
Yeah, but you know what? Like for us to talk about Letterman, it's like talk to Dave. Like I'm not the guy. Like the stuff. I'm not the guy. I'm not taking credit for anything. You know what I mean? Like if I feel funny.
I'll be honest, Justin. If he could talk to Dave, he would talk to Dave. But that's not an option. So he's friends with you guys. He's like, oh, I'll talk to you too.
But I feel like I'm not the guy to, like, Eric and I, while we were at Late Show, Billy Crystal asked us to write for him on the last Academy Awards that he did. Right. So after the Academy Awards last year, Ron asked me to call into the show and tell what it was like to write on an Oscars, what happens during and stuff like that, and he asked us what we thought of Conan, and I thought Conan did a great job. That's a very hard gig to do because you can't make fun of the people. They want to be honored that day. They don't want to be mocked. the bar is very high, and it's hard not to seem lame. And Conan is very smart and very funny, and so whatever. So talking about that, it's like I can tell a few stories and talk for 3 minutes, but for me to take credit for, and then Dave did this, and Dave, it's like I feel like it's not my place. I don't know. And that's always how I sort of felt with like talking, when you wanted me to come on. It's like, what am I going to talk about? No one wants to hear from me.
Well, the other thing I wanted you to talk about was something you kept saying I don't want to talk about, was your time in Australia doing radio. I said, I kept asking you, do you have air checks? I begged you for a decade. I'm like, you got to have tapes somewhere. Let's do a thing talking about your time in radio. It doesn't have to be about the other stuff. So there were several things I wanted to talk to you about. It wasn't just, hey, here's your time with Dave.
I recently found, I might be over there. I recently found some of the cassettes.
Over there.
It might be over there. There's like a box over there. There was like, that also was a lifetime ago. I'll be glad to talk to you. I can tell you those. I was the only American on the show. So I got fan mail, and people would wait by the stage door at the end of the show for us. And we started off doing the 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. show on Saturday nights. And there would be people waiting Sunday morning at 6 a.m., which was stupid. There was no reason for it. But I was with Stephen Hall, Vin Hedger. Like these guys were really, really funny. And they did this show it was called Triple R Radio, which was one of the stations in Melbourne, Australia. It was not a college station, it was a city station. And I knew this guy, Liam, who was on the show, and he and I
Gallagher?
Yes, Liam Gallagher. Exactly. You know him?
Yeah, I've heard.
So he did the show, and he and I were friends. He's like, hey, I do the show Saturday night. You should come in. We have a slot that's open. And I was like, oh, I'll come in. I'll love to try it. And I went in and I had some stuff written, and it was the first hour was sketch comedy. And then we pretty much played clips from stand-up albums. So Bill Cosby, back when it was okay, George Carlin, and whatever. And I would bring a lot of stuff that didn't show. Like I brought Howard Stern's Crucified by the FCC. I brought Stephen Wright, which hadn't been aired there. And so we would do all this stuff. And I was like, hey, who's ready to be funny? Like I was all excited to be there. And
were you doing Dr. Demento?
Yeah, dude, Dr. Demento was on there. They played that Saturday afternoons, and I could not believe it. I was so happy that was on there. So I was like all excited to go in there and entertain. And they were all like, oh, hey, what's up? And they were very low key. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? This is weird. I found out later that there was a slot open because the guy whose slot I was taking, their friend, had killed himself. So it's like, hey, I'm here to fill your friend's slot. I'm here to be funny. And I wish I knew that before.
Well, Justin, look, when one door closes, another door opens.
Yes.
And that was your door opening, my friend.
It was.
You got to take, it's not your fault why the other door closed, but it's in your best interest to seize that opportunity and walk through that door that's open in front of you.
Stephen Hall, one of the guys that was on the show, one of the funniest people I've ever met. Very talented guy, unbelievable guy. Not only did he do radio, he was an actor, and he was in, do you know the Russell Crowe movie Romper Stomper?
Yes.
No of it have not seen.
One of his first early movies.
Yeah. It's like Skinheads in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
He's in that. He's appeared on like every Australian TV show, everything. And Dave would ask me questions every once in a while about Australia, because I used to go back and visit when we'd have like 2 weeks off in the fall and 2 weeks off in the winter, 2 weeks off in summer. I would go back and visit my friends and just hang out. So he would always ask questions about Australians, and I would tell him stories about Stephen. Stephen went on Sale of the Century, the Australian version of the American game show. He went on and won everything, like everything. Wow. The trip, the TV, the car. Now, he won like $1 million in gold.
But he had to carry it out. It was real.
Yes, he did. After the show, he went backstage, and they opened up the door. It's like, look, yeah, here it is. $1 million of gold. It's like big bricks of gold. And it's like, how are you going to carry all that home? And how, so
in the new car you just won.
In the new car.
I was going to say, there was a bit on 30 Rock that makes me laugh every time where Kenneth the Page comes up with an idea for a game show. It's called Gold Case. Yeah. And like, it's kind of like, you're sitting there and you're like trying to pick out which one has the gold, and like the model is holding it and she can't hold it because gold is heavy. Yeah. And I'm just like picturing this guy with a wheelbarrow of just gold bricks trying to walk out of the studio. Right.
So they gave him the option. They said, you can take the cash equivalent or you can take the gold. But if you take the gold, you're responsible for getting it home. He's like, all right, I'll take the cash equivalent. And then like 6 months later, gold started to go insane. And it was like, it would have like tripled. It would have just been absolutely crazy. But Dave thought that story was like, oh, I can't believe you didn't take the gold. Oh my God, that's incredible. So he's like, anytime I ask Alan Coulter, the announcer, Alan, what are we playing for tonight? He's like, I want Alan to be like, Dave, we're playing for $1 million in gold bullion. And we did that every night for months for no reason except he heard my friend won that on Sale of the Century.
That's almost like, what was this? The Greaseman used to do a game show on his radio. Oh, Suitcase Full of Diamonds.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, you could win this thing here, or you could try for the suitcase full of diamonds. And then if they went for the suitcase, it was always a question they would never be able to answer. But imagine trying to take home a suitcase full of diamonds. It's like carrying the gold bars. Like, I'm just going to I'm going to die on the way home, or I'm going to leave this by the side of the road.
Exactly. They found an empty, ripped up suitcase. That's all they found. And blood. I remember Greaseman and Rocky Allen and all those. I listened. I loved radio. Oh, I loved radio back then.
I told you my Rocky Allen story at the Ed Sullivan Theater.
I can't remember it. He was on the stage. He did a show on the stage.
When Dave was off during his vacation times, at least once a year, they used to do a show called The Showgram on Broadway.
Right.
And it was part of the New York Comedy Festival. Like Toyota's sponsored the thing. And it would be all on the stage. Like they would move Dave's desk to the back and covered, but you had everything else on the stage. And he would have stand-up comics, he'd have music guests, whatever. Well, one year they decided to film the thing. Right. And they were going to sell videotapes of it. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And at one point, they needed me to go somewhere to do something. And I am I'm working as like a behind-the-scenes production guy, all hands on deck kind of thing. Yeah. And they go, oh, I'm like, which way do I go for this? And they said, oh, I think you go over there. And as I go, they don't have the curtains. They don't have the sliding doors that Dave has when he walks back. It's a giant blue Toyota tarp hanging from floor to ceiling, right? So that's the curtain. And they're like, oh, I think it's over there. So as they're doing it, I walk out in the middle of the John Cicada interview.
Oh, my God.
Let me see if I can get me on here. Yeah, right? In the green screen. But there's me. Walking back in the middle of while they're having this interview live on the radio, taping the whole thing. The videotape comes out, and I had somebody, an executive at PLJ going, why am I seeing you in this? I go, I don't know. I remember what it was. They had Bon Jovi was there, and he was singing. He was doing solo at that time. He had a solo album.
Yeah.
And his assistant needed cups of water with tea bags and lemon and all this other bullshit. I was bringing that to wherever she was, and I wound up walking out the tarp. I'm like, whoop, that's not it one there. That happened months down the line when they got the tape done and they got it back from the company that printed everything. And then I came in one day and I'm getting talked to as why I'm walking out in the middle of the Showgram on Broadway thing here. I'm like, that was months ago. Nobody said anything about it now, but now it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I remember you telling me all that.
Your time at SiriusXM, I wanted to know your thoughts on it, because at the time it was one thing, but then as all of the stories from the show unfolded over time, knowing what a powder keg that was at that point, because Anthony's gone, right. Jim and Opie's working relationship is falling apart. He wasn't talking with Sam at that point. In fact, Sam was pushed to his own nighttime show and off the program altogether. So there was friction with that. There was friction with the staff and Ope at the time before the split, because then Ope started taking all that vacation time out of nowhere, which wound up costing him the morning show. Do you look back now and you go, Jesus Christ, how did any of them get anything done when all of these different kind of storylines and tension was going on? I mean, you were a rare fly in the wall there in the room seeing all of this.
Well, it's very similar to how like Late Show and I'm sure Saturday Night Live and all that stuff. It's like everything is always chaos. You know what I mean? And that's the stuff that, for better or for worse, fuels a show. You know what I mean? And that show, similar, to other shows of that genre, the various characters were staffers on the show. And if people were fighting, that was good content. Or if people were ratting out each other, or if someone had a problem with so-and-so but didn't want to say it, or I'm going to say it, or this, whatever it was great content and the audience liked it. So unfortunately, the powder keg,
but a lot of that wasn't even on the air.
No, but it wasn't. But like, I think, how long had they been doing the show?
They only did about 2 years.
And then at NEW and K-Rock.
Oh, you're talking O&A altogether.
Yeah, altogether.
20 years together.
Yeah, so all that stuff adds up. You know what I mean? It's like over 17 years, my relationship changed with all the people at Late Show, because you've been there for so long. You know what I mean? And you're there, like you are giving so much of your life to that place. Mm-hmm. You're there day and night, and that's sort of what happens. A lot of the various shows, either I've worked on or I have friends that work on, they have similar stories. I don't know if it got to the same degree, mm-hmm. But it was. I think it's more common than you know.
Okay, I mean, it wasn't common how that all fell apart. No. When he took that entire summer off, came back.
I was gone at that point, I listened. I did listen at the time, and I heard all of that go down. So, I don't know. I don't. But again, he had his way of doing everything. Mm-hmm. And there was so much that I could do, so much anybody could do. It was his show, and it was trying to whatever Opie had in his head, and he would talk to us about it, was trying to come up with the best version of that, or help him come up with the best version of that, and whatever the best version that for air and for everybody else. And it was, it was tough. I know he wasn't happy about how that whole thing worked out. And I don't know, I was not in on any of the discussions about him taking the summer off. I was a listener at that point, and I was surprised by everything. I was surprised by many things. There were so many times, like you and I would have some sort of conversation, or I would have a conversation with Travis or Roland. Roland would be a good one. And, everything I would just hear all kinds of crazy shit.
Do you still hear from him at all? Because he doesn't talk to any of us. So none of us hear from him. Yeah.
I don't really talk to, we never stopped, but he would text me. I would text him. Again, I have no problem with anybody. It's just, I don't hear from anybody really. I hear from you, Sam, Travis, Troy sometimes, but I don't really. I don't.
3 out of 4 ain't bad.
Not bad. I don't leave my basement. I'm in my basement right now. I don't leave my basement.
It's a nice basement.
I was gonna say, why would you?
Yeah, well, exactly. It's pretty nice. All right, last thing we're gonna leave you. I got to talk to you about here, and then you can be gone. You've given way more of your time than you should have, and I am extremely grateful for you.
I hope some of this was entertaining. I hope some of it. I hope you can cut it down or do something to make it.
There's people. There's people who are, it's like, oh, he's not bad mouthing this person. He's not screaming. it just can't be that all the time. You know, you have a vast history that I'm interested in. My name is on the title of this show, so I think I have a say or two about some of the things we're talking about. And I've enjoyed talking to you. I love the history of late night. I love the history of morning radio, and the fact that they were always so parallel, and now their demise is so parallel. And you've had the TV end, I've had the radio end, and we're all just sitting there going, it's like, I can't believe the things that we loved are just falling apart and almost gone.
Yeah.
Like they are almost gone but
the amazing thing is that they still need content. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if it's just from one place that's being syndicated out to 20 places or whatever it is, everybody still needs content.
Right.
But they don't know what to do with it now.
Well, also how they obtain it is changed too, because when I was talking to you about how the network needed to be the brand and then everything else is on the network, where nobody cares about the network anymore, it's the individual properties. The properties they want to get, there was a value of owning stuff and building it in-house so that you owned it. You had everything for it. Now it's the exact reverse. They don't want to own it. They don't want it. They don't want to build it anymore to say, look what we did and look how big, like, in today's day and age, it's an old adage now, but it's like Seinfeld would never have succeeded. Cheers would never have succeeded because they took 2 or 3 seasons to get their footing and their success. Now it's like, if you're not there within a few episodes, they're already canceling you after the first season and it hasn't even aired yet. Right.
Dude, Seinfeld took, 3 years, whatever it was, Cheers 2. And that was 24 episodes a year. That was more than, and now with the, economic, formula behind all this stuff. If you're not airing commercials on network television, charging that amount, it's 10 episodes. Like financially, that's what because you already have the people on Hulu. You already have the people on Netflix. Mm-hmm. They're not necessarily getting new people to join. So, for this one show, like Star Trek Strange New Worlds, 3 seasons have aired. Was it 30 episodes? That's like a season and like 4 episodes of
what TV used to be.
Next Generation.
It used to be 24.
Yeah, used to be 24. Deep Space Nine, Voyager. So it's like there's no filler episodes anymore. Or if they do have a filler episode, you feel like nothing's advanced the plot. Like what is going on? There's no, and I'm happy about this. There's no like clip shows anymore. Like everything has changed. You have 10 episodes to tell that story, and then if they like it, you have to wait like an entire year. It's not like 3 months. It's not like the summer's off and then it comes back. You have to wait like an entire year. I don't remember anything anymore. I have to watch the recaps. Like I'm watching The Boys now. I have to watch a recap of the last season.
I'm about to do that too because the final season started like last week?
Last week. 3 episodes.
Yeah, so I got to, because then Gen V, which is the companion show of that, overlapped, but I forgot to watch that too. So there's a lot in play.
Yeah,
the point I was getting at when you were talking about they still need content.
Yeah.
They don't want to take the time to build it anymore. They want somebody that's already established and successful so that they can come and license it. Celebrities, influencers, things like that. Do you have an audience already? Great. Now we'll spend millions of dollars on this because we want to distribute it and we want to put the ads on there. Yep. And you already worked like the Alex Cooper deal with Sirius for her Unwell and her Call Her Daddy podcast, but her Unwell network, $120 million. To her, but that's going. It's not just she makes 120 million. That's covering all the costs for the network, all the other shows, their producers, their editors, all social media people, all that stuff. So it trickles down the line, and then she gets what she gets out of that. And if it's worth it, they sign a new deal, 2-3 years, whatever her agreement is. Now it's just we need celebrities, we need influencers, we need people who are already successful in order to have a show that's successful on our network, on our streaming service, whatever. The days of like, well, take a chance, we're going to risk it and do all this stuff are almost completely gone. You got to start on smaller platforms or do it yourself and then hope somebody notices and goes, oh shit, we need to buy everything that you made.
Exactly right. Because it's less of a risk. I mean, like if you take a risk, like there's an animated show that we have pitched on and off for years, and
One Piece.
Sorry?
It's called One Piece.
It is. Is that bad?
No, it's huge. It's a huge property right now.
But it's first of all, it's true crime. Second of all, it is one season is the entire mystery. It's the entire story. And they said, oh, well, you know what? We don't do serialized animation. That's what everybody says. We don't do serialized animation. And I was like, well, then we'll be the only ones to do it. I mean, like, we'll stand out in a crowd. Well, no, animation's not usually. But then they also want to know if it's on streaming, what will make them go from one episode straight to the other? What will make them want to click and keep going? Mm-hmm. Well, this is serialized. It will end on a cliffhanger. There is a mystery, and you will get, it's all built in like that. But nobody wants to take the risk, because if it doesn't do well, they will get fired. And nobody wants to get fired. So everybody plays it as safe as possible. And that's what it is. That's what everything is. So you get an influencer who has like 30 million followers. Good. It's a built-in audience. It is less of a risk. Statistically, it seems like it's less of a risk.
But they also don't understand, and I've seen it with iHeart, and I see it at Sirius too, less of a risk, built-in audience for these celebrities. And then they're putting out a new podcast, and then they do 6 episodes, maybe 10, maybe 12.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back in a few months for season 2.
Yeah.
What? Like if you're doing a podcast or something, the only time you're doing seasons is if it's like Serial, some kind of documentary kind of thing that you need to go through research, prep, development, legal stuff going through on there before you put them out pre-produced. If it's a celebrity talking about their life or talking about whatever else is going on there, just turn it on, record it. You could get them. It's like, well, they're only going to do 12 episodes, and then they'll be back in about 4 months. You already lost your audience.
Yep, I know.
The audience isn't coming back for that, because who cares?
I know, dude. I watched Paradise. I was so excited for season 2, and I didn't know. I had to rewatch stuff. The same with The Boys, and then now it's like a whole year until whatever the big cliffhanger is, whatever the mystery is, and you're going to lose interest. You're going to move on to something else. Radio, podcast, it's all exactly the same. Somebody is going to take a risk. Somebody is going to produce more. Someone's going to lean into original IP. Someone's going to do something different, which will then make everybody else do it. It's somebody will take a risk, and then hopefully that will trigger something. The copycats. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bring back 1899. That's all I have to say.
And chaos.
And chaos.
Chaos was fantastic. Last thing, Justin, we'd mentioned of this earlier. Several weeks ago, I came across a very popular animated property that I was unfamiliar with. And as we took a deep dive, found out that this thing is a global phenomenon, and it's been that way for about 20 years. This animated property called Miku. And it's, what is it called? A Vocaloid, Jordan?
I think so, yeah.
So it's animation that's almost a hologram or LED, whatever, but they program the animation to be the singer of the song. So they type in the lyrics or whatever, and the machine with the animation is singing the property. And I found this thing, and I think it was through Fortnite. Like they had it in the game, and we went and looked at it. And they started off as they would only do they do concerts around the world, but they would only do like LA and New York in the United States, and that was it, because they weren't really well known. But as time went on, this thing grew. They're filling stadiums from like 30 to 80,000 people, depending where they are in the world, and it's just an Asian rock band performing with like techno stuff, lights, and the LED screen and the holograms and stuff, and it's like selling out all over the place. Now I said, I'm going to get tickets, and I bought tickets, and turns out I bought the wrong kind of tickets. They were in the far back, and I was going to take the kid, but the kid was never going to sit there and focus on this thing unless we were reasonably close to see what was going on. So I got rid of the tickets. But while doing the deep dive on Miku, we found out that it was introduced to the United States on The Late Show with David Letterman. This was their first American appearance, and they went on to promote the concerts they were doing in New York and LA. Now, this was towards the later years of Letterman doing what he does. What was the date on this? October 18th, 2014.
2014.
So right towards the tail end. I know Dave has been a avid music fan. Like he used to have acts on that were not showing up on late night anywhere.
Right.
And like he was at the forefront of Foo Fighters and Pearl Jam and those kind of things. He loves music. Warren Zevon, all of that stuff. This is unusual even for Dave. Loving music. This is not something that you would try to pitch to Dave normally, and he'd go, "What are you talking about? We're not doing this." But he did it. He came out to say hi to the hologram at the end, like he was going to shake her hand, and she disappeared off the screen. He goes, "Oh well, all right, she left." So we're watching. We're floored by this.
Yeah.
You have no memory of this.
I have no memory of this at all.
Okay.
You asked me. You sent me the clip or showed it, or you asked me when you discovered it, and I watched it. I have no idea. I don't remember that happening at all. I don't. I know as you pointed out, the people in the talent department always booked the best music, and it was the bands that you wouldn't necessarily see right away. It was like we got them first. Like we're introducing this, and Dave loved it all. I don't know how they got this past him. I mean that he's going to watch a anime sing on his stage. I don't know how it happened. For a minute I thought what you sent me was fake or it was AI or something. I really did. I was like, there's no way that was on the show. There's absolutely no way. I have no memory of anything like
all
that.
right, for those of you who want to see what we're talking about, take a look at this clip from The Late Show with David Letterman.
Gentlemen, please welcome making her network television debut, Hatsune Miku.
Now, I want to point out, this was 2014. Now, or at least the last several years, that thing shows up on the screen. There's like a several minute cheering standing ovation before the thing even goes crazy. It's just waving to the crowd. It's walking back and forth on the stage like it's Chris Rock when he's pacing during his sets. Yeah. Just waving everybody. Crowds are going nuts, and the thing hasn't even sang yet.
I know. I don't know. I have no memory of this. There's a freaking cartoon character singing on the stage and everyone's going nuts. I have no memory of this happening.
Yeah. Full house in the Ed Sullivan Theater watching this. Well, you get the idea of the music, but
could you imagine you go to a taping, you don't realize this is happening, and now you have to sit through it, and you're like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah, well,
that's wild.
This is definitely not for Dave's audience, but all the credit in the world that they took chances and were getting acts on there that weren't ready for television during those times. Yeah, but here we are, an LED anime thing singing on The Late Show with David Letterman.
God, dude, I have no memory of this. Look at that. That's insane.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know why why I must have blocked it out. I don't know. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, well, let's get to the ending here.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hatsune Miku, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Okay. There she is.
All right.
All right, that's fine. It's like being on Willie Nelson's bus. You know? Thank you, everybody. Good night, folks.
Yeah. So
random.
Yeah, just random when we discovered this thing that apparently is a global phenomenon, and it all traces back to Letterman for the debut in the United States. Weird stuff.
Yeah,
Justin,
he's done that before. I mean, he did there's a band I think he saw in Mumbai called The National that he brought over to because he was just a fan. He was a fan of things.
Yeah.
I love it.
Justin, thank you very much for your time, for spending all of this time with us. Very, very generous. Is there anything you want to plug and get out there so everyone can follow you or check out your works, what you're doing?
If you go to stangelbros.com, STANGELBROS.com, that's where we post everything that we're doing, that we're up to, where you can find us, because people keep paying us to come and tell them how to pitch TV shows. So yeah, that's where we put everything. I think my Instagram is up there. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, or I'm in my basement. So if you need me, I'm here. It's fine.
If you need him to punch up your scripts or do a treatment for you, he is a gun for hire currently. So
in his basement. Here's his address.
Reach out to Justin and Eric Stangel. Thank you very much for your time, man. I appreciate it. And,
I'm sorry it took so long. I just felt like I was going to bore you.
I love this kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of media, movies, TV, and the behind the scenes stuff is just as interesting to me than I'm the kind of idiot that watches all the special, like all the commentary on every Blu-ray or DVD I ever get. Yeah. So this kind of stuff, I love this stuff.
Oh, then I'll come back and bore you some more. It'll be my pleasure.
Yeah, come and just hang out. We don't even have to talk about this stuff. We can just comment on things of the day.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right. Take care, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
I'll give you his address so you can sneak over there and
rummage through all his things.
You're just going to creep with a giant sack over your shoulder there. There's no real reason to get into anything else that we have right now. We should take a break. When we come back, segment 2, television, movie, streaming updates. I have a couple of trailers that I want to show you for some video game announcements, and Live Nation is getting fucked. So good times ahead. We'll be right back.
More, it's Eric Nagel.
It's Eric Nagel.